I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati.
All right. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sab's podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, I do want to let you know that Sab's podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there for our monthly roundtable, and you can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter. Welcome back, guys. We have a big show for you tonight. I hope everybody is getting prepared for that storm that is coming our way. If you live on the East Coast, if you're in the Southeast as well, you know what I'm talking about. We're actually going to get into that tonight as one of our stories. Tonight's theme is all the small things, just like the Blink 182 song. But these small things are important details. Before we bring in our special guest, I do want to go ahead and show you what we are discussing tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and flash that beautiful thumbnail. Holy smokes. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing, I think, one of the biggest stories of this week. Erika Kirk has gone on tour. Yeah, the Make Heaven Crowded tour. Weird choice of words at this time, but that is the name of the tour. We're going to talk a little bit about that and this mysteriously new video that has appeared about Erika Kirk that makes you question her whole identity. We're going to get into all of that. We're also going to discuss, I told you I was going to talk about it tonight. I now have more information about these Black Panthers in Philadelphia. We're going to talk about that. We have heard officially from Fred Hampton Jr. himself. Are they who they say they are? We're also going to discuss, if you haven't heard, Jared Kushner has announced publicly the Gaza plan, this so-called board of peace. We're going to get into the details about that plan and what that really means. We're also discussing, again, if you haven't heard by now, we have a polar vortex coming this weekend, and Ted Cruz is making sure he is not going to be a part of that at all. So we're going to get into this ice storm that's coming and what people need to prepare for. We're also going to bring on our special guest, who is Jose Vega, who is running against Richie Torres. And we have a bonus story. A CNN panel goes incredibly wrong. We'll get into all of those stories tonight, ladies and gents. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. You've seen him here before. He is running against Richie Torres for Congress. Let's go ahead and bring him back in. Everybody welcome Jose Vega. Jose, what's going on?
I'm good. It's good to be back on the show. Thanks for having me, and hello to your audience.
Thank you so much for coming back on. So it is that time of year. I mean, we're getting closer and closer, of course, to the midterms. You are running for Congress against Richie Torres, and you sent me something recently I want to show everybody here. It's a newspaper article. Paul Sanger and Richie Torres exposed in the Bronx local paper. Could you tell all of us, Jose, who is Paul Singer and why is this problematic?
To put it in the simplest terms, Paul Singer is a billionaire, part of the unelected billionaire class like Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and others who invest so much money, whether it's in oil companies, which is motivating a lot of what's happening in Venezuela right now, or invest to politicians who are very pro-Israel, because his interests are that of being pro-Israel, of course, and also wiping out Gaza. So Paul Singer invests in all of the worst corrupt elements that currently exist in our government and in corporations to meet his ends and his interests. So it's, of course, kidnapping Maduro in Venezuela. It's the complete and total wiping out of the Palestinian population for his ends. And it's the buying and controlling of politicians like Richie Torres in the Bronx so that they can continue to vote how Paul Singer wants, as opposed to how the population and the district want him to vote.
Very interesting. So, of course, Richie Torres, again, not a man for the people. It's not even just about Gaza or geopolitics. It's also about what is he doing for people in the Bronx. And I think that's a big thing about Richie. I can't remember him talking about how he's trying to help people in the Bronx. You approached Richie Torres recently in person. I believe it was a diner or something like that. And you approached him and you went up to him. And from what I saw in the video, like Richie Torres was just like ready to run away. I don't know who those guys were that were sitting with him at the booth, but it almost kind of seemed like they were like his defenders or something like that, that they're protecting Richie Torres. And they like stood up and were just basically like, hey, go away, go away. But have you seen Richie Torres since then?
No, and that's the thing. Richie Torres hasn't held a public town hall in about a year and a half, if I'm not mistaken. The last town hall he held that I know of was actually in February of 2023. And it was because I confronted him there too about being an Israeli lobby plant in February of 2023, and also the United States' role in blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. This was far before I ever decided to run for Congress. This was far before, of course, October 7th in 2023, I was calling out Richie Torres, and of course, for not showing up for the community here in the Bronx. This man instead caters to the people who have the money, as opposed to the majority of the people in the Bronx who are poor. Because as far as he's concerned, they have nothing to say since they can't afford his time.
That's what I was going to say. I don't remember seeing him out there on the street talking to people within the community. Now, there are a number of you that are running against Richie Torres. Like, you were the first one that I saw announce that you were running against him. This is your second time running against him. But now this time the field does appear to be more crowded. There's a young woman that is running against him. There's another guy who made this ad that I somehow appeared in, which I just FYI for people who saw that ad.
Fate. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I didn't know. Nobody reached out to me and asked me, like, I'm just in that ad. Because it's a video where I was criticizing Richie Torres. But I'm in that ad. And this is also someone that, spoke at an APAC event in the past. And I know people have been questioning him about that. There's also Andre, who's running against Richie Torres under PSL. So it does appear to be more crowded this time around. And I'm wondering how you feel about that.
Well, first and foremost, I think it's generally a good sign that an incumbent has so many opponents going after him. I mean, that's just generally, a good sign that people really want to get this guy out and how bad Richie Torres actually is. Now, when it comes to Michael Blake, or Michael Fake, as I call him, I mean, he is just a complete and total, how do I put this, party tool. This guy was the vice chair of the DNC from 2017 to 2021, and he was working for a defense industry it was a military industrial defense industry for, I believe it was 7 years, 2017 all the way up to 2024. He was getting paid as the vice president of this Next Star, I believe, that was getting military contracts to develop submarines or so. So this is all Michael Blake, of course. And then he was calling himself, because he ran for mayor. The same time Mamdani was running for mayor of New York City, so was Michael Blake. Michael Blake actually got less votes than I did running last time in the Bronx than he got citywide. He only got just under 4,000 votes citywide. I got more than that just in this one part of the Bronx. But regardless, he was calling himself the most pro-Israel candidate while running for New York City mayor in 2025. Okay, and he was saying that as late as May of 2025. And I'm supposed to come here and believe that this guy genuinely believes that there's a genocide going on in Gaza? First of all, if you couldn't see that in the beginning or even before October 7th, I know you lack the moral clarity to run for Congress or to even hold elected positions or to call yourself a representative of the people, because you will fold under pressure immediately when you are in the peer group that is known as Congress and the corporate groups and the lobbyist groups. He's just going to fold and he's going to say whatever he needs to say to get elected. And so that's my honest thoughts on Michael's fake. And I believe he's only in there to throw off people like myself who present a real, genuine challenge to Richie Torres. As to the young woman who's running for Congress, I wish her nothing but the best. Good luck, And as for Andre Easton, I think that that's going to be a lot of fun. He seems to be a real organizer for the Bronx. I have my qualms with PSL, but as far as Andre is concerned, I think he's a father, he's a teacher, and he's running for Congress. And I have nothing respect for individuals, who decide to do this. And running as an independent, as I'm doing, as he's doing, and as I've done, it's a very difficult thing to do. So honestly, I'd like to debate him or talk to him. I think that might be very friendly. And, so we'll see what happens come November. But yeah, so that's kind of the state of the race right now. And given the fact that Richie Torres, I guess we'll get into it, but Richie Torres is directly attacking me personally, especially because I'm not just running as an independent, I'm both in the primary and the general election. It shows that we present a very real threat, because he hasn't even attacked Michael Blake this way. He's come after me, directly. A sitting U.S. congressman is coming at me, calling me an anti-Semite, trying to divide the neighborhood against me, and it's not working.
This is very telling. So you get the impression that Richie Torres is a little bit more afraid this time around.
Oh my God. Yes, he is. You know why? Because the nurses are on strike here. This has been going on. It's very good. All the candidates are going out there. And that's also good, by the way, that all these candidates are going out to support the strikes, because then it makes the people they're negotiating with very nervous. And the best time to strike also is in an election year, when, all the politicians are going to side with the unions. And that's a great thing. However, Richie Torres has crawled out of this dungeon that he's been hiding in and decided to go and stand with the nurses for once. It's amazing, that in order for him to actually become engaged, he needs to feel threatened and he needs to get the fire under his butt.
Yeah. So you mentioned the personal attacks. So he has been attacking you, calling you anti-Semitic. Again, I'm pretty sure if I were to think about people in the Bronx, that's probably not the number one thing that they're thinking about right now. The number one thing that's on their mind. I don't know who he thinks this is going to work for. But it's interesting, because I feel like last time he didn't try to personally attack you. And that's why I think, again, he is a little bit more afraid this time around. He's also been a little bit more quiet. Like, I noticed the past couple of months, I haven't really seen him going onto these podcasts, doing his promo for Israel like he was like last year or earlier last year and the year before that. It's almost like he's trying to just quietly get reelected. And I don't think that's going to work for him this time around. But he's been attacking you. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so he called me an anti-Semite because I was standing next to Eric Warsaw, who apparently called Nick Fuentes a hero. First of all, I don't agree with that. I don't think Nick Fuentes is a hero. I personally think Nick Fuentes is a Fed. But that being said, I don't play the guilt by association game. People can have their opinions. People can have their beliefs. Eric Warsaw wanted to interview me about the wealth inequality that exists in this district. Why is it that this is the poorest congressional district in the entire country, and yet a small section of the neighborhood has so much concentrated wealth? That's not a religious thing. That's just true. Why is it that there's so many millionaires, and extremely wealthy people living in the same district that is the poorest congressional district in the country? And why is it that Richie Torres prefers to serve the interest of the billionaire, millionaire, wealthy class over the majority of the people in this district who are almost underneath the poverty line, right? So clearly, he values the people who can fund his campaign as opposed to the people who have the power to elect him. He is the billionaire's candidate. And the real threat, the reason why they're actually calling me anti-Semitic has nothing to do with who I was standing against. He was looking for any excuse to come after me. The real reason he was coming after me is because I'm against mass murder in Gaza, because I'm against the kidnapping of sovereign leaders. I'm against war with Iran. And most importantly, I believe that education and creativity belongs to everyone, not just the privileged few. And if elected, I will make sure that the Bronx becomes a center for scientific revolution yet again that'll be accessible to any person, any individual that wants to get an education, that wants to be free and flex their creative muscles. That is what we will dedicate our time in the Congress, in the legislature, and even outside of being elected. We will dedicate our time to making sure that happens. And that's a threat to the real ruling class, the class that thinks they can buy their politicians, by just giving a gazillion dollars to politicians, because they don't want an educated majority of people. They don't believe that every human being is truly created in the living image of our creator. And I recently learned that the Statue of Liberty was actually based off of a freed slave, and it was based off of a woman of color in the late 1800s. And that's why there's a shackle on her foot, right? Because originally it was supposed to be on her wrist. And the people who were funding the sculptor said, whoa, that's not going to fly in America. But he still wanted that freedom message in there. He wanted that anti-slavery message in there. And that's why the poem that's inscribed there, give me your poor, your hungry, your tired masses, that was meant to be for everyone. And that's the ideal that I want to embody, especially going into this year, which is the 250th anniversary of the founding of this country, when you're trying to find the best, examples of what redeems this country. It's stuff like that. And one of our responsibilities is to make sure that our neighbors are educated and are truly free. And I genuinely believe one of the paths towards freedom is educating yourself and flexing the creative muscle that is your mind.
Have you had a chance to talk to Zoran Mondami? Do you know if he's endorsing anybody in this race?
It's funny because when Michael Blake first announced, he said, yeah, Richie, Zoran Mamdani is very supportive of our race. And Zoran Mamdani said, you'll know I endorse people when I endorse people, because he was asked, are you endorsing anyone? So he basically said, not yet. And then Amanda Septimo, who was running and then dropped out, said the exact same thing. Oh, no, Mr. Mamdani is super supportive of our race. And yet again, Mamdani said, I haven't issued any endorsements. I think here in this district, Mamdani is trying to not actually endorse someone because, for one, there's to what extent you can believe the pollsters, I'm not sure, but the pollsters say that Mamdani's endorsement in this district wouldn't mean much because apparently this district leans a little more conservative, and doesn't really resonate with the democratic socialist message. I disagree. I meet a lot of people here who are ready for an alternative to the system that's killing them. But regardless, no, Mamdani is not currently endorsing anyone in this race, and I don't see him doing so, at least not for another few months or so. But it's going to be ugly. And I also don't doubt that Mamdani may know what a fraud Michael Blake actually is. And so he may just stay mum and not endorse anyone in this race. We'll see.
It's interesting. I've seen Michael Blake on a number of shows, but you're the first one that I've seen mention that he was just pro-Israel a couple of months ago, running as the mayor candidate. A lot of people pointed back to him speaking at that AIPAC conference, but even more recently. So it's just really, I don't know. It's really weird. But I think people are trying to lean into that message because they're reading the writing that's on the wall and they're seeing that more people are turning away from Israel. So they're like, well, I better not run on that message. But still, it's like that was very recent. So it's showing me some things there. I do want to show people your website here, Jose, for those who want to support Jose. If you're in Richie Torres's district and you're tired of Richie Torres, you can go to Jose Vega's website here. It says, let's save the Bronx. And Jose said he's running to break down the barriers that silence the people's voices. So make sure you check out Jose Vega's website. It's votevega.nyc. And then
Yes.
another thing I wanted to ask you about, Jose, you said that I guess the Bronx is more conservative. I'm surprised by that.
That's just, I mean, that's just what the pollsters say. For
Okay.
example, in the primaries with Mamdani versus Cuomo, Cuomo did win the Bronx. Now, Mamdani won citywide, which is why Mamdani ended up winning the Democrat primary, but the Bronx was just over for Cuomo over Mamdani. And then in the general election, even then, Zoran did win the Bronx, but only by something like 2 or 3 points. So he only had like 52 or 53% of the vote, and Cuomo had something like 48, 47, right? So even then, it was still edged. But here's the thing: the Bronx also has a very low voter turnout, and the people who do turn out to vote are older voters, right? Who do not resonate or share with this new message that people like Mamdani were bringing to the district, right? Which is that now's the time for a system that'll work for you, not this one of greed and corporate oligarchism. So these are people who are I wouldn't call them conservative, just vote in a safe way, or in a way, they're not going to try something new. Like when I did meet a woman, when I was out tabling in October, nice lady, she listened to what I had to say, and she's like, "Who are you voting for, sweetheart? Mamdani or Cuomo?" And at that point I was like, I don't know yet. And she goes, "You're not going to vote Cuomo? He can get things done." I was like, "Really? You like Cuomo?" And she like started listing off all kinds of things. And I was like, wow, like the Cuomo name, really carried a lot of weight. But yeah. And let me just make one more point. On the website, by the way, we had a button there that says pledge your signature. If you're in this district, in the 15th congressional district, we're going to need your help, and we're going to need you to sign our ballot, our petition to get on the ballot. So you can go to, yep, that's right. If you're a registered Democrat or also independent, it should say independent, but that's in April. But in order to get on the primary line, we need registered Democrats to sign our petition ballot. And if you're an independent, you can also sign my petition, but that's later in April. But definitely leave your info there. And on the day that we can start petitioning, which doesn't start until February 24th, we will come and find you, and we'll have you sign our petition. So we just want to know who's interested in signing our petitions now.
So people have to sign this petition. You have to have a certain number of signatures just to be a part of the primary?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, thankfully, or not really, because I'm doing both. I'm doing both the Democrat primary and the independent line. So here's what's so crazy and how they make it difficult for independents. And this will be a challenge for both me and Andre. If you're a Democrat or Republican who wants to get on the ballot, you only need 1,500 valid signatures. So that really means you want to get double the triple signatures because they can challenge your signatures. So 3,000, 4,500. If you're an independent who wants to get on the ballot for the general election, you need 3,500 valid signatures, right? They make it 2.5 times harder if you're an independent with no resources just to get on the ballot in November. And they only give you 6 weeks, to get those signatures. And so think about when we're supposed to be petitioning in the Dem primary, right? It's going to be winter. It's going to be the end of February, beginning of March. Could be good for us, could be really bad. It's a wild card. April's not any better. But yes, there are barriers to try and prevent people from getting on the ballot. It's a very difficult procedure, and it damn near killed me last year, but we did it, and we have the infrastructure now to do both, and we're going to use that to our advantage.
All right. Well, guys, go check out Jose Vega's website, votevega.nyc. And you have that petition page there as well to help Jose even be a part of the primary there. So if you're tired of Richie Torres, go over there and help Jose Vega out. Jose, keep me posted. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to your audience. Thank you, everyone, for your support and keeping me where I'm at.
All righty. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jose Vega. He is running against Richie Torres. So if you live in Richie Torres district and you're tired of Richie Torres, you do have Jose Vega that you can support. I know people have been asking me to reach out to Andre Easton as well. I will also, I'm trying to get in touch with them to bring him on as well. But you do have other options if you're in Richie Torres's district. I think Richie is a little scared. I think he's a little scared. Yeah, just a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an interesting show tonight. Tonight's theme is all the small things. And what I mean by that is the little details that actually do matter, that actually do make a difference, but sometimes are not discussed or are not noticed. And so you're going to see that tonight with these stories. First and foremost, let me go ahead and give a shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really do appreciate you, fam. If you're interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories. We have the ultimate, the Sabinators. Don't forget about the Sabsters. We like those guys too. And of course, we also have Sabbies. Don't forget about them. And last but not least, we also have members. All of their names are listed here. And you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen on the ticker throughout the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really do appreciate you, fam. So we have quite a bit to get into, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and say hello to these chatters here. Thank you so much, Kimi, who's been a member for 15 months. Here's hoping Jose mops the floor with Bitchy Torres. I actually like that. I like the Bitchy Torres. Thank you, Roger. Not a woman of color, Jose, a Black freedman woman. Shout out to Grant, says, hi, Sabby. I'm about 20 minutes late, but I'm here. I'm starting this over from the beginning. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. I'm glad because I have a lot to say tonight. Vijaya said, I am more scared of Ice Thugs than Ice Storm. And my dog says, you can thank Cuomo for the increased number of signatures on the petition to run. Yeah, he's the one that did that. He did it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to our first news story of the night. If you haven't done so, do me a solid and smash that like button. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. Let's keep it moving and grooving, folks. Again, the theme tonight is all the small things. This weekend, there is a polar vortex that is making its way to the East Coast. And at first, I thought, okay, it's just another storm that they say is coming and is not going to actually come. I'll just wait and see. It's coming. It is coming. And this isn't just a typical winter storm. This is an ice storm, especially for those of you that are in the Southeast. And I am sending this alarm to all of my comrades in the Carolinas because I have fam there. I have friends there. You need to get ready for this one. And I'm not usually one to tell people, get ready, prepare for this storm. But for this one, you definitely need to prepare. I want to start with this video here, and then we're going to go to AccuWeather's report. So I want you to see what this gentleman says in his car. I want you to see what the actual weather report news says. And then we're going to go to a former meteorologist as well. This is not a storm to mess around with. Let's go ahead and dive into this clip here. How the storm will impact energy infrastructure. This is from Mr. Global. Check this out.
I've been waiting to talk about the storm that's coming this weekend because I didn't want to freak people out. And a lot of these forecasts never pan out, but this one is panning out, it looks like. Yeah, everyone's in agreement now that the crazy forecast is actually happening. This is going to be one of those storms you probably remember for much of your life. Basically, the whole, more than the eastern half of the United States is going to be below freezing, most of that below zero. They're calling for, foot and a half of snow all through here, all the way to the mid-Atlantic, and 3 inches of ice in this pink band right here. 3 inches of ice is unbelievably catastrophic. That is worse than what Texas experienced in 2021. There's going to be loss of life. Anywhere there's 3 inches of ice, there's no power. There's not
no power. This is the part that I think is really important for people to understand. I live in the Northeast. We're used to getting snow, but snow is one thing. ice is something totally different. If you have 3 inches of ice, that means you are going to lose power. And depending on where you live, and I've lived in the Carolinas, so I'm going to tell you something in just a second. Depending on where you live can determine how long you will be without power. When I lived in the Carolinas, just to give you an idea, like we weren't used to having snow. So in North Carolina, South Carolina, they're not used to getting snow. So there would be days sometimes during the winter where they were calling for even less than an inch of snow and everything would close. School would be canceled for the next day, sometimes for the entire week, going into the entire week. All the store, everything was closed except for, of course, like the hospitals, like emergency response services, but everything shuts down. And you are notified well enough in advance. And usually what would happen is everybody would run to the grocery store and for some reason get bread and milk. I didn't understand why people got milk because you have to put milk in the refrigerator. I never understood that. But this is what people would do. They would grab bread, milk, eggs, things that they can, I guess, use to make other recipes and other meals and things like that, but they stock up. And so also, it happened like before hurricanes, but when there's snow coming, even if it was like less than an inch, people would go to the store and just get all of this stuff. And the reason being is because in the Carolinas, they don't have the tools and the resources in place to deal with snow. They have snow plows, but not as many as we have here in the Northeast. I remember back then they used to put sand on the roads. And I remember my dad used to laugh because he's like, my dad said, why are they putting down sand instead of salt? I never understood that, but they don't have like thousands of snow plows to go out and salt the roads and to get the snow off of the road. So when it snows, everything just shuts down and you are stuck inside. Now that's just snow. So imagine 3 feet of ice. How are people going to deal with that and handle that? We talked about the storm that happened in Texas a couple of years ago, and you guys saw what a disaster that was. So I am greatly concerned for those of you that live in the Carolinas. And also it looks like Texas might get hit once again.
Going to be a power line that's not on the ground when there's 3 inches of ice. And emergency services aren't going to be able to reach you because there's 3 inches of ice on the road. That's what's going to happen if this forecast is correct. The grid's going to fail. Refineries are going to shut down. Water systems are going to shut down. Could knock out a couple of LNG terminals if it goes far enough south on the Gulf Coast. This is going to be a disaster if this forecast is even close to accurate. I mean, a major disaster. Huge natural disaster across pretty much all the southern states. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you live in the pink area, you should plan to be without power for at least a week, maybe a month. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you need to prepare for it because it wouldn't be the first time it happened, okay? This is that. People went without power for a month in Texas in 2021. Yep. This is a repeat of that. For you folks in the upper Midwest, where it's going to be like 30 below, take the largest electric bill you've ever had in your life and add, 25% to that or more. Yeah. But more importantly, just be prepared.
He's 100% correct, guys. Like people, you really got to be prepared for this. Justice says, yep, 3 inches of ice means at least 1 week with no power. Been there, done that. It's true because the trucks can't even get through to restore the power. So, I mean, they're not going to get out on the road and there's a bunch of ice there and they're just going to be sliding all over the place. So they're not even going to be able to get to you. So I sincerely hope everyone does plan for this. I would say, like, honestly, Friday, you need to go get everything that you need. It's going to hit us, I think, around Sunday, but you need to go get everything that you need. Last thing I want to see is people stranded. And these things have happened before. Now, just to show you, just to compare, and just to show that I'm not just showing some, guy on X, this is what AccuWeather reported as well. So I want you to see these bands here, snow or ice. Again, Boston, I think, we'll be fine. We've dealt with this before. But what's really going to get slammed and hit right here, we're talking about the South, parts of Texas. Oklahoma looks like it's going to get hit. And then you see this warm air that's moving in right there, which means that if that ice comes through, all that ice is going to melt, and then you could look at possible flooding. So listen to what she said here.
Get ready for at least a couple inches of snow and enough freezing rain to lead to widespread power outages and travel chaos for days. More than 150 million people are going to be impacted by a big winter storm Friday through Monday, from New Mexico to North Carolina and then up the East Coast, even through Maine. Things kick off Friday in Texas and Oklahoma, and you could see impacts to your evening commute in places like Dallas, Oklahoma City, over into Arkansas too. Friday, Dallas, get ready for freezing rain. You're in the prime zone for widespread power outages and other impacts from this.
So I'm sorry, if you're in Texas, in the Dallas area, they're saying that's going to start on Friday. So I really hope people are prepared for this time around.
Further to the north, in places like Wichita, Springfield, it's more going to be snow. This starts to spread east into the southeast, but you're still going to be seeing impacts in places like Oklahoma and Texas for a couple of days, really through the weekend. And the worst of the freezing rain is going to stretch from Dallas up into Tennessee. Atlanta, you're going to get hit hard by this, and then even over into the Carolinas.
So everybody see this: Columbia, South Carolina, Charlotte, Wilmington, Charleston, Atlanta. See how this stretch is coming through? So they are calling this a polar vortex. They crack me up with these names that they come up with, but this is what we're looking at.
Northern portion of this map is showing you where you're most likely to have sleet. The severe area, yeah, it's most likely going to be freezing rain. As things spread east into the weekend, we start to see impacts into the mid-Atlantic and even the Northeast. Now, we're going to get more detailed with the forecast as we get a little bit closer here, but anybody highlighted in purple, get ready for sleet and even freezing rain potential. So that's from Columbia, South Carolina, up through Richmond, Virginia. Somewhere like DC, Philadelphia, New York, we have our eye on you for snow. In addition to widespread power outages, expect roads, especially in the south, to be impassable for days. Looking at the areas that got freezing rain, especially a lot of flight cancellations. Yep. Saturday and Sunday, we are forecasting thousands of cancellations, and then expect other delays as well. And because cold air sticks with us, it's going to take a while to fully clean up and recover from all of this.
So that's what I wanted to warn people
Friday,
about.
Dallas, get ready for freezing rain.
What I wanted to warn people about, there's those of us that are going to get snow, and then there's the states that are going to get a mix of snow and ice. And that's why I said I'm really concerned about people in the Southeast, because again, like I said, I live down there. They just don't have enough plows and to deal with all of that. So when they tell you you could be stuck, you maybe not be able to drive for days. I've been there. I've been through that in the South, where we had just even a little bit of snow or ice, and the roads were shut down for days. So anything that you need to get, whether it's food, medicine, if you have pets, make sure you have enough food for your pets as well. Just be prepared, because I just don't want anyone to be stranded like people were in Texas a couple of years ago. And this is something else I want to show you as well. We are watching these storms become more and more severe. I want you to hear from this guy who's a former meteorologist. Former meteorologist with 50 years of experience issues a terrifying warning as a catastrophic storm is about to hit the U.S. American meteorologist Glenn Hurricane Schwartz, with 5 decades of forecasting experience, says Americans are being misled right now, not by the storm, but by the forecasts flooding social media. Listen to what he says here. By the way, for those who are not aware, I am a big weather geek. I really am. When I was in undergrad, I used to study to the Weather Channel. I would put on the Weather Channel because it was so soothing, and I would study that way. So I'm one of those people, I could watch this all day. But listen to what he says here.
Warnings about the coming storm. I was a meteorologist for 50 years, including forecasts of major winter storms over areas from Atlanta to Cincinnati to Philadelphia, New York. Now, today is Tuesday. I plan to do at least one update every day as we head toward the weekend. The weekend is when the storm is coming. I want to give you some warnings about this. Because of what has happened with social media, there is more irresponsible and ignorant information that is put out now than ever before. So the first thing to do is to ignore any specific snow forecast amount for any particular place or area. This far in advance, with this type of storm, it is impossible to accurately predict this. And in my view, it is irresponsible to predict specific amounts of snow for specific areas. The second thing, this is going to be a massive storm. It's going to cover a couple thousand miles and potentially a couple dozen states. There will be major ramifications, major travel issues. So even in cities that are not getting slammed by this storm, anybody with travel plans for the weekend or even into early next week, you're going to have to pay attention because it's going to be affected. Coming out of the southwestern U.S., it's going to have Gulf moisture, it's going to have Atlantic moisture, it's going to have plenty of cold air. One of the questions is how far north the significant snow is going to go. So the closer you are to that northern edge, the more uncertainty there is. The other area of uncertainty is farther to the south, how much of it is going to be ice versus snow. That will help determine the snow amounts. As far ahead of the storm, what I generally would give is, let's say, probabilities of major snow, of probabilities of 6 inches or more, or a foot of more, or 2 inches or more, just to give people an idea about the chances of these things happening. We've got to follow this every day. It has tremendous potential, and there could be storms coming after this one, like either next week or the following weekend. So we've got a very active pattern, significant to, in some areas, absolutely major or even crippling type of winter storm.
And I just want to go ahead and let you guys know, I was at the dentist today, and the dentist told me they are already closing for Monday. And I'm in the Northeast. They've already decided they will not be open on Monday because Monday is going to be pretty bad. So have you guys noticed over the past couple of years, these weather patterns have been getting more and more severe? It seems like more increasingly severe. And I got to tell you guys, again, as someone living in the Northeast, ice is nothing to mess with. Like, snow is one thing, but you can easily slip and bust your ass on ice like that. It's just like, another thing I would tell you, if you haven't had to buy this before, for my friends that live down south, go to Home Depot and get rock salt, right? Home Depot, Lowe's, your local hardware store, they should have it. If they haven't sold out because of the storms coming, get the rock salt. A little trick that you can do. A lot of times people wait until it has snowed and they get up the next morning and then they put the rock salt down. Put down rock salt before the snow starts. So that way, as it hits it, it can start to melt. This can also help with ice forming as well. But I just really want everybody to be prepared for what is coming, especially for the people down there.
So we must be paying attention. That is from Texas all the way into New England, and as far south as Georgia, as far north as Maine. A huge area, limited time period. We're talking about, for the Northeast, mainly Saturday night and Sunday. For the Ohio Valley, Saturday into Saturday night. Now, the best places to get information and forecast. The American model, the GFS, has a history of suppressing storms, to keeping the precipitation too far south, and then adjusting later on. So I would ignore that to begin with. overall, the European model is the best. And surprisingly enough, the AI version of the European has performed exceptionally well so far this winter. It performed better than the National Hurricane Center models and official forecasts this past hurricane season.
Sounds like some people might be out of a job then, if that's the case.
So that may be the first specific type of map that I'm looking at, unfortunately. But I'll try to keep you updated, show some of the best maps, but the best places to look are the Weather Channel,
Whoop, whoop.
Capital Weather Gang, your local National Weather Service office, and if you want to watch your local TV person, look up their bio if you don't know it already and see if you've got the word meteorologist next to it, but not just that word. Look at the background. Do they have a degree from a major university? Anybody could call themselves a meteorologist in today's world, just like anybody could call themselves an economist. So you have to look at the background, and the bigger the headline, the bolder the type, the brighter the colors on social media, they're likely clickbait. So they will go to the most extreme level just to get people to click on it.
Yeah, just be careful about that. That's why I wanted you to see a variety here, right? So I let you hear from someone who's been a meteorologist for 50 years. I let you see what AccuWeather was saying. And then I also let you see what the gentleman was saying in his car. I think you need to hear all those perspectives. Long story short, get ready. And someone mentioned it in the chat. Thank you so much for reminding me. Kitty litter can also help you in a jam as well. So if you don't have the rock salt, apparently kitty litter is something else that you can use. I just would not try to go out, and somebody has already decided to leave, and that is Senator Ted Cruz. Just like when this storm came to Texas, Senator Ted Cruz was spotted earlier today, January 20th, 2026, on a plane heading to Laguna Beach as the state of Texas braces for a rare ice threat and Arctic cold front. And there he is right there. So Ted Cruz is out. Ted Cruz is like, bye, I'm out of here. You know, and a lot of people, they can't just up and leave, whether they have kids or, you know, because of their jobs, etc. People who have pets, you know, you can't just grab all your pets sometimes. Like, so Ted Cruz is fleeing once again. He's out. He's telling people in Texas, have at it, honey. I'm gone. So you know what's coming. Really crazy, right? Really crazy. So everybody, please be prepared. And then one other thing I want to add here as well. The cold temperatures is something else that you need to keep in mind. Like when we talk about all the small things, it's not just the ice, it's not just the snow. I want to talk to you about those freezing temperatures. For those that are down south, a lot of times you may not be used to those temperatures, right? Like for some who have lived down south their whole lives, like 35 degrees is really cold. So if you see predictions of 20 degrees, 15, like in the teens and things like that, I mean, that's cold for me up here. So imagine how cold it will be for someone that lives in a warmer climate. So please be sure you're prepared. Another thing I advise people doing is getting electric blankets. These can be a lifesaver, I think, at some points, like a way to keep yourself warm. This is not a time to walk around barefoot. Make sure you have on socks. Like, just make sure you bundle yourself up warmly and just get ready for this. But do be worrisome about the temperatures. Once it gets to the single digits, that's a wrap for me. I can tell you, like it's cold. So please be careful, everyone. And one quick tip for your car, and this is the part nobody likes to do, but we got to talk about it. Whenever you get one of these, like these storms, these snowstorms and things like that, for those of you down south that aren't used to having to do this, do not let the snow just sit on your car. Like while it's storming, you probably don't want to go out there and clean your car off. But the next day, at some point, you want to go clean that off. You don't want to let that just sit there and then just melt and all that type of stuff. I see people do that all the time when I'm in the city, like in Boston and stuff. The cars will just sit there all winter and snow just like piles up on it. And the next thing you know, your car is not working well. But please take care of yourselves, guys, this weekend. Anything you need to get, again, go get it. Just go get that and get that taken care of. Don't wait until Saturday or Sunday to try to get groceries or to try to get gas or food for your pets or things like that. So please be prepared and be prepared to be without power. There's a possibility of that. So here comes the polar vortex. Get ready. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Thank you, Roger. ILL text Andre for you, Sab. You know I got you, little sis. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Laz. Erika Kirk looks like the fairy godmom from Shrek. Damn. You guys are brutal. Thank you, Jerry. Much love and respect to Jose Vega. Kick APAC Torres out of Congress. Thank you, Raul. Sabs, you're in the wrong rabbit hole. Christian Zionism was popularized by the Scofield Bible, published 1909, and became the most popular Bible. He teaches a Christian heresy called dispensationalism. I'm not sure what that's about, but thank you. Bill says, one time a polar vortex has me in -15 for a week. It was pretty nuts. Thank you, MTN Star Studio. Boost worthy, all one same, and blue collude to keep Indy and green out of the race. Solutions, transparent ranked voting, term limits, more options. Yeah. Thank you, Mystical. Ted Cruz already has plans way before this news came out in another country. There you go. He ready to go. Thank you for the super sticker, Megan. It's got the Ben Shapiro on the phone. Thank you, Cool Blue. I'm in Detroit, Michigan. We are forecast for some sub-zero temps and 5 to 7 inches of snow on Sunday. In January 1978, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois experienced the Great Blizzard of 1978. It was devastating. Nearly 100 people died. Yeah, I heard about that blizzard. People talk about that here in Boston as well, 1978. Resurrect says, I'm 52, and it seems like the road departments are not dealing with plowing the roads as well as they used to. Yeah, there's some of that. Thank you, MTN. Check out Ryan Hall, y'all. Accurate live streams. Thank you. And thank you for this one. Prepare Ryan Hall, y'all, and max velocity weather. Thank you so much. We are moving on to the next story here, ladies and gents. When we talk about all the small things, I think we need to look at all the small things with this Gaza plan. Jared Kushner has announced this plan, and we are going to go through this map and show you what this actually means. What is Gaza going to turn itself into? And I think people may be shocked when we go through some of the details. So here is Jared Kushner sharing the master plan for the new Gaza. I want you to hear what he says here.
Really, because of his heart, he wants to do this. And we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential. And this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we are going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is. We do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a
right there. We do not have a plan B. So everybody heard that. What that means is that this is going to happen indefinitely. There is no, well, what if this doesn't work? He said, we do not have a plan B. This is what it is going to be.
Master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. And so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen. Rafah will start with. This will show a lot of workforce housing. We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And
stop. Go back to what he said right here. Pay attention to his vocabulary. Because this is just going to be more apartheid. Listen.
If we make it happen. Rafa will start with. This will show a lot of workforce housing.
Workforce housing. 100K plus permanent housing units, education centers, cultural, religious, and vocational centers, medical facilities. So let's stop here for just a second. I wonder what those cultural, religious centers will be, right? He said workforce housing, which means that Gaza, this plan that they have for Gaza, is going to be separated from the workers, or what they consider to be the workers, and the rich people who come to party in Gaza and have the resorts. Just even more apartheid. Gaza isn't a college campus. It's not like you can say these are the dorms and the houses are over here. The students live in the dorms and the faculty live. He said workforce housing. There's more.
We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza. It could be a hope, it could be a destination, have a lot of industry, and really be a place that the people there can thrive, have great employment. Once this starts going, we think there should be 100% full employment and opportunity for everybody there. And we have a lot of data on what can be, but we think that this really gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. But it all starts with security, and it all starts with governance. Final note I'll just say on the Board of Peace, which is that...
Pause. Empowering Gazans with jobs, training, and services. Everybody see this plan here? What jobs do you think the Palestinians are going to have? They're most likely going to have the blue collar jobs, right? Yeah. So I have seen these types of plans before, right here in the US. This is gentrification on steroids. It's always announced this way. We're going to create all these jobs. We're going to create new housing. Everything's going to be a lot better for you guys. But then ultimately, when you create this new housing and all these jobs, you got to remember, Gazans aren't working right now. Like Palestinians aren't working. They're trying to stay alive. The Palestinian kids haven't been in school. We're talking about over 2 years. They haven't been working. They haven't been in school. So this is why I say, what kind of jobs do you think they're going to give them? So they're only going to let them go so far. Let's go on more here. It is gentrification on steroids. Many of us have experienced this before. And then there's the other thing. Again, what do you mean workforce housing? To me, that kind of sounds like the projects. You guys are going to live over here, and all of us are going to live over here. It's a project. It's an experiment.
All the lessons we're doing is we're basically studying the best practices from all over the world, and we're watching who does education the best, who does healthcare delivery the best. All of these things it's not secret IP. All this is IP that the Board of Peace is going to make public, and we want to encourage all the countries to be able to follow these best practices. A lot of the things that President Trump is doing in America, if they're working, we should all be copying them. If we find what's working in other countries, we should be copying them too. And so what the Board of Peace will have the ability to do, if we're successful with Gaza, is really show how do you do peace implementation, which is something that when we got this deal done, we didn't really find too much expertise or know-how on how to do it. So as we're creating this system, hopefully it's something that we can just document these learnings and make them available to all else who want to use them in the future.
So he's letting you know that they don't even know what they're doing. We don't really know what we're doing. We just created this and we're just kind of going to see how it works. And imagine calling it the Board of Peace after you have enabled Israel to kill all these people. It's laughable at this point.
So demilitarization, this is something we're starting now that we have a new government in Gaza. This government will be working with Hamas on the demilitarization to really take the principles that were agreed to in the document to the next phase. And hopefully that will be successful. Without that, we can't rebuild. So if Hamas does not demilitarize, that will be what holds back Gaza and the people of Gaza from achieving their aspiration. And that's very important. So the next 100 days, we're going to continue to just be heads down and focused on making sure this is implemented. We continue to be focused on humanitarian aid, humanitarian shelter, but then creating the conditions to move forward.
No, they're not focused on humanitarian aid right now. And also, again, this Gaza peace board, ultimately the humanitarian aid is not getting in is because Israel is not allowing it to come in. You shouldn't even need to create any type of board to bring in humanitarian aid. You guys should hold Israel accountable for stopping food and water from getting in. And this even makes you wonder how many people are going to live to see this anyway. Because I just saw a recent video from another doctor from Australia who was there, who said a lot of people in Gaza right now are dying from disease, not just from the bombing, but from the disease, because the water is dirty, although they didn't give them fully clean water before to begin with, but because of all the bombing, rodents, feces, like everything, like these are things that cause disease. So you have people dying from that. And it's just, how many people, this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, think about this. How many of them are going to live to even see this next 100-day focus?
To move forward. So thank you. Final point I'll just make is this is really only possible because of the work of so many people and President Trump's great leadership. But a lot of you have been asking, how can we help? So the countries have all been incredibly generous. We'll be doing the first conference where we'll announce a lot of the contributions that will be made in a couple weeks in Washington. From the private sector, there'll be amazing investment opportunities. I know it's a little risky to be investing in a place like this, but we need you to come, take faith, invest in the people, try to be a part of it. And then finally, I'll just talk to people on the media and on the social media, which is
all the investors. So that's what this is. That's what this is. And people don't invest in something without getting a return on their investment. So when we look at the map a little bit deeper, I'm going to show you what they're really creating.
This deal only happened because we worked with Israel, we worked with Turkey, we worked with Qatar, we worked with Saudi, we worked with Egypt. I mean, everyone worked together. We worked with UAE. We all worked together to make this happen. I see a lot of people trying to escalate, criticizing Israel or Israelis criticizing Turkey or Qatar. Just calm down for 30 days. I think that the war's over. Let's do our best to try working together. Our goal here is peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. Everyone wants to live peacefully. Everyone wants to live with dignity. Let's put our efforts towards promoting those who are doing the work to build this up, like Ali and his committee. Let's focus on the positive stories, and let's just calm down, turn a new chapter. And if we believe that peace is possible, then peace really can be possible.
So first of all, Jared Kushner, the war is not over. People are still being killed in Gaza. Palestinians are still being killed. I see the reports every day. So the war is not over. So that's a lie, number one. Number two, who is Jared Kushner and Donald Trump a part of this as well? Who the hell do they think they are to just come in and take over someone else's land and say, this is what you are going to have? It's colonialism. Like here we go again. And it's like the Palestinian people have no say so. Now, let me show you something else. Let's look at this map a little bit deeper. Let's bring this up here. So this essentially is what this is going to be, right? So let's start with the coastal tourism area right here. This lighter shade of purple, like a purplish pink here. It says coastal tourism, 180 towers, mixed use. So this is where all the rich people are going to live, right here along the coast. Right there on the water. That's where they're going to have all these resorts, etc. The Trump casinos or whatever it is that you want there. They're going to be right by the water. And you know what that means? That means that the Palestinian people will not be allowed to go to the coast. The beach, that's going to be for them, for the rich people. When we look at the dark green here, industrial complex, data centers, advanced manufacturing. So that's this area right here, right here, right here, right here, and right along here. First problem, the yellow says residential areas. That's basically the workforce. Remember that they said the worker housing is what they call it. I call it the projects. Let me ask you a question. Why are they trying to put industrial complex centers right next to residential housing? It also says that these centers are data centers. So what did I tell you again? They have this plan to expand data centers all over the world, not just here in the United States. So the billionaires, Bill Ackman and Donald Trump and all of them and Jared Kushner, they're going to put data centers in Gaza. And you know they want to put them in Greenland as well, as we just recently talked about as well. And they're putting it right next to residential housing, or as they called it, the worker housing. The other part about this map that's pretty troublesome here, right? This darker shade of purple, it says highways and local transportation, right? Main road loop, city ring road loop, highways and major transportation. Again, that's along the coast. So you can see that there. And then when we look at regional transport and logistics, the blue here, the light blue is the port. And the dark blue here, this is train and back port logistics. And right here, which is orange, is the Rafah crossing. And then you have the airport right here in the little gray part here. They are blocking them in. They can't go to the coastal area because that's where all the rich people are going to be. In fact, this guy laid it out pretty well. Let me show you this part here. Number 11, cities are separated by agricultural land with no natural horizontal expansion. Thus, cities do not form a unified land, but independent cells that can be easily cut off. So if you look at the map again here, all the green, that is parks, agriculture, and sport facilities. So if you know the yellow patches here are the residential areas, they're separating the people by land. So again, to that gentleman's point, they're creating independent cells. So like your community is basically going to be whoever lives with you right here in this area. And then you got all this in the way if you want to go to people in this area, right? To me, when I first saw this, it almost seems like the smart cities, like the 15-minute cities that they're trying to create here in the United States as well. All these data centers and all of that, they're going to be monitoring their every activity. Ideally, that's what this is going to be. Another part that he said here that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, the pink, which is the light purple, is the rich. That's along the coast, typical to what you'll see here in the United States as well. Yellow, the workforce. White, normalizing Israeli occupation. No border with Egypt, all through Israel. The Rafah crossing has disappeared. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Shifting the balance from Gaza City to Khan Yunis and Rafah, despite being less populated than Gaza City. Gaza City has over 600,000. Khan Yunis has 203,000. Rafah over 172,000. Border industrial hubs mean relying on the Israeli supply chain. Electricity, it can be cut off whenever Israel wants, just as it is now. So that is what this is, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to be confined to these yellow areas, which I'm just going to call them the projects, because that's essentially what this looks like. And all the rich people will be right over here on the coast, lining up right next to the water. Now, when we go to this part here, I told you about the about Rafah. This was announced by Reuters today. The IDF is refuting this, but it said that Israel orders Gaza families to move in first forced evacuation since the ceasefire. So this came out on the 21st. So they are saying they are being evacuated. Israeli forces ordered dozens of Palestinian families in the southern Gaza Strip to leave their homes in the first forced evacuation since October's ceasefire. As residents and Hamas said on Tuesday, the military was expanding the area it controls. Everybody see this here? Residents of Bani Sahala, east of Khan Yunis, said the leaflets were dropped on Monday on families living in tent encampments in the Al Rekab neighborhood. So, urgent message: this area is under IDF control. You must evacuate immediately. said the leaflets written in Arabic, Hebrew, and English. Israel's military denied having plans to forcefully displace Palestinians from the area. It confirmed the leaflet drops, but said they were aimed at warning Palestinians not to cross the armistice line in with Hamas. Now, here's another question that I have for you, going back to this map. So again, Palestinians haven't been able to work for like over 2 years. The kids haven't been in school for like over 2 years. So when Jared Kushner says we're going to give them jobs and these are going to be the residential areas, well, they still have to pay rent. What is going to be the price of the housing that they are going to create? And what happens if you can't find a job or you can't afford it? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because, again, it happens here. It happens here in the US. We're building all these things, but you'll be able to do all of this. Now, if you look at this Board of Peace, I think this was a great breakdown. Trump's New World Order Board of Peace. It says that Gaza is the test case for a post-UN world order. The proposed Gaza Board of Peace is not an isolated initiative. It is best understood as part of the broader strategic project. Donald Trump does not seek to reform the UN. He seeks to replace it. The UN system is built on law, formal equality between the states, and institutional accountability. Trump's alternative model is built on deals, money, hierarchy, carceral leverage, and when the UN relies on treaties and norms, this model relies on capital contributions, political loyalty, and centralized control. Gaza is the test. The proposed architecture strips away UN law and substitutes a technocratic management. UNRWA is dismantled. Refugee status and rights are replaced with conditional aid. UN peacekeeping is rejected in favor of a US-led international stabilization force. The legal framing of occupation is removed entirely. Under this model, there is no occupation law, no right of return, no independent investigations, no binding human rights enforcement. What remains is a system run by appointed technocrats, major donors, and a security force designed to impose stability rather than rights. This is not peacekeeping. It is managed control. Empire rebranded as stability. And I want to show you the sign, the logo. The logo here for the Board of Peace looks strikingly similar to the logo that the United Nations has. And this is where we're at now, ladies and gentlemen. So I see people applauding this, and it's not what you think it is. Anytime wealthy people come in and they take over the plans of the neighborhood and they say, we are creating this, ultimately a few things will happen. Either, you're priced out, so you got to leave, which brings up the next question I'm coming to, or you stay there and try to make ends meet and struggle to keep, your feet planted anyway. I just don't know how this is going to work for the Palestinian people, considering the fact that, like I said, people haven't been working for 2 years. And then here's another point. It's really not on them to decide what should happen to Gaza. So you essentially have world leaders, because Tony Blair is also on this board, a guy who also greenlit the Iraq war, another war criminal. You have leaders, political leaders from all over the world coming in and determining what is going to happen with this piece of land. And the Palestinian people have no say whatsoever. This is wrong. There's no piece of this. This is not peace. This is a takeover. And this part right here that I also wanted to show you, people need to pay attention to this. It was just announced that the Rafah crossing to open in both directions next week. You see, they're already getting ready. So this is what I was trying to tell you. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. The Rafah border crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip will reopen in both directions next week. That is coming from the newly appointed minister of the Palestinian territory. The reopening of the crossing is part of the Gaza truce plan announced by Trump in October, but it has remained closed so far. I am pleased to announce the Rafah crossing will open next week in both directions. That's coming from Ali Shah, the former Palestinian Authority deputy minister. This was said at the World Economic Forum. And I believe we have a map here. Maybe not. Maybe we have a map here. Maybe I lost the map. I'm sorry. I was going to show you where that map was. I can go back to the other one and show you where it's at. So basically here, this is the Rafah crossing, this orange piece right here. So this is wild. No one should support this. And now some people are wondering, where does Russia and China and other countries stand on this board of peace? So Vladimir Putin issued a statement recently. Russia will not join any so-called peace council unless the full rights of the Palestinian people are guaranteed in accordance with UN resolutions. I do not have a translation here, guys, but this is him saying it here.
На Ближнем Востоке и о поиске возможных путей решения насущных проблем палестинского народа и разрешения острейших проблем гуманитарной ситуации в секторе Газа. В этой связи отмечу главное.
Yeah, you guys get the point. I'm sorry. There's no translation. But essentially, they're just going to take control of everything. And I do agree with that article that this board of peace is basically going to be set up to be a replacement of the United Nations. I could see that happening. So when I say all the small things, it's important that we look at the details. Jared Kushner stands up and gives this presentation and he flashes this map on the screen rather quickly, but he doesn't go into the details of what those different areas mean, right? And so I think it's important that we look at all those things, because sometimes the smallest things actually do matter and make a big difference. And my biggest concern is that, again, this is being advertised as this peaceful resolution, as something that's given the Palestinian people some type of self-determination, when in reality it's not. They're still going to be occupied, but they are making a design in such a way and creating a board of peace in such a way so that you can't use the term occupied anymore, when in reality that's still what this is. And they'll just say, look, we created all this housing for them. We created jobs for them. What are you talking about? So we can't fall for the okie doke. And Gaza will still be very much controlled. And I honestly wonder how many Palestinians will live through the next 100 days to even see this so-called humanitarian aid that's supposed to be coming in, that should have been coming in all along. It's absolutely disgusting when you think about it. This is billionaire money and power that is making this happen. It's disgusting. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Eric, can we go to part 2 of Type VNC? New York Varsity said, and he's doing all this from the goodness of his heart. Yeah, and that's the way Jared Kushner behaves, as if, look at me, I'm trying to help. It's wild. Thank you, Zone. Let's call it what it is. It's New America. They're colonizing Gaza. Crystal said Jared is just evil. It's all about money and making Palestinians stay in a camp still. There you go. Thank you, Logically Dashing. Kushner is the same clown who is buying up huge companies such as Electronic Arts so as to control the U.S. narrative in every industry. There it is. Thank you, Megan. Jared, the Nuremberg trials 2.0 await you, and I can't wait to see that. And thank you, Zone. The movie Dread is now a pending reality. Yeah. I guess Hollywood has been sending us signs all along, huh? All right. Let's go to the next story. This one people might laugh at a little bit, but we got to do it. We got to do it. If you haven't done so, please smash the like button. Thank you. And let's keep moving and grooving. So these Philadelphia Black Panthers have been going viral on social media, and people started asking questions like, I don't know, are these really members of the Black Panther Party? And I wanted to wait to cover this story because I was waiting to see, what would Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. say about this. So that's why I didn't cover it earlier. I wanted to hear that information, and now I can talk about this. I think it did fool a lot of people. When you say you're the Black Panthers, obviously people assign that with the Black Panther Party. And I noticed pretty quickly on social media, people started calling them out, including people that are real members of the Black Panther Party. So if you don't know what I'm referring to, let's just go back. So this is Chairman Birdsong is what he calls himself. And he's been making videos. I have something new to show you about him too, by the way. He's been making videos saying that he is a member of the Black Panther Party, and he was the one that was in Philadelphia. Here's one of them. Check this out.
All power to the people. Chairman Paul Birdsong reporting for Active Community Defense Duty. Listen, two things that I need to run by you. Thing number one is, a lot of people are saying that we should not stand up against ICE because we're standing for people that aren't us. And Black Panthers only stand for Black people. That is a lie. Huey P. Newton said that we are internationalists and we stand with all oppressed people no matter what color they are. That's the founder of the Black Panther Party that said that. So everybody who's running around talking about Black Panthers don't stand up for people other than Black people don't know a damn thing about the Black Panther Party. That's thing number one. Thing number two, the Black Panther Party created something called the Rainbow Coalition, which is a coalition of Hispanics, Asians, whites, and Blacks from all over the world working together to fight oppression. Again, the Black Panthers stood with the Mexicans, stood with the Puerto Ricans and the Dominicans, stood with the Japanese, the Vietnamese. The Black Panthers did a whole campaign to end the Vietnam War because they stood with Vietnam. So for you guys who are talking all of this gibberish about, you guys aren't following traditions of the original, who do you think our leaders are? Aaron Dixon is an original Black Panther, right? Aaron Dixon is an original Black Panther who walked with Huey Newton. That's our leadership. And Billy J. Brooks, that was Fred Hampton's right-hand man. So you guys you sound stupid, to be honest. You sound like you don't really know what you're talking about. Doing a lot of hooting and hollering and don't really know what you're talking about. If you watch Huey Newton's speech, he specifically says, we are not Black nationalists. We are internationalists. And we stand with all oppressed people across the globe, no matter what your ethnicity is. Come on, man. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. You telling us what we're supposed to be doing as Black Panthers, and you don't know the first thing about a Black Panther. All power to the people, though.
So this guy definitely pissed some people off. Again, he calls himself Chairman Birdsong, and we have a couple more clips that I can show you. Again, people started looking into this saying, wait a minute, are these guys actual Black Panthers? Again, they were trending. I think the one thing that kind of alarmed me was just how fast they were trending everywhere. And I was kind of like, that's weird, because Fred Hampton Jr., who's Fred Hampton's son, he doesn't trend on social media. And it's like, and they do things for the Hampton House like often. So I'm just kind of like, interesting. So that was one of the things that I noticed. Another one here, because people are really mad at this guy. Like I'm not even like really, really mad. Let me bring this one up here. people came after them. This is a Black Panther Party at ICE protests in Philly. Listen to this one.
No ICE agent ever run up on me. I guarantee you they won't. I'll put a hole in their chest the size of a window. Safe line repair, safe line replace. That's what's gonna happen. They touch me. Unarmed woman was killed by ICE. If you think you're about to come and brutalize the people while we're standing here, fuck around and find out. Our interactions with the police and ICE, and we hold them accountable. We hold them accountable. We patrol the community and we hold them accountable. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, we're the same Panther Party from back in the day, but we're a little more aggressive now, you dig? Carry bigger guns and we don't take no shit. Places where there are a lot of immigrants at, I think that the community around them needs to take special care to them and needs to start escorting them to and from everywhere to make sure that they're safe. Because them ICE agents ain't gonna act like that if it's a bunch of people standing outside with assault rifles and shotguns. It's a semi-automatic shotgun. That means them shotgun shells that shoot out of a pump, they shoot them rapidly. If you are going to legally arm yourself with something bigger than what they got. Those who serve in the public, they should be fearful of the public. They should be fearful that the public is going to be dissatisfied with their job that they're doing, not feeling like they're tyrants, not feeling like they're bullies because they got guns and body armor and walkie-talkies. That makes them immune to whatever the people would do. I think you want to correct the ideology of the pig and the mentality of the slave catcher. You meet them with equal force. All power to the motherfucking people.
So, yeah, like this does not go, these types of things just don't go viral, right? Like typically that's not how it works. And I think I'm trying not to laugh. So bear with me here. Here's another one that I wanted to show you. This was also shared. A lot of this was going around on X. Do yourself a favor and join the local chapter of the Black Panthers. So here he is again, Chairman Birdsong of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense.
Yeah. And just open-ended, any comments you want to give to like my generation, the younger generation, or just any generation.
Legally arm yourselves and unify, or else you will die. And I mean that in a literal sense. You see on the news all the time, Renee, you know, everybody say her name, Renee. Right? She just got shot in the face by ICE, right? This is a real thing, and they're not gonna stop. And the more they hurt people and get away with it, the more they're gonna get that momentum to keep going. So everybody needs to unify and come together, and everybody needs to arm themselves, right? Because the revolution is in the barrel of a gun, whether you believe it or not. You want to be comfortable and you want to be nice. You don't want no confrontation. Look, Huey P. Newton said it the best. Anybody without a gun is either a slave or they're about to be one. You know, so and people worried about people being scared of him. Huey P. Newton also said this when somebody asked him, "Don't you think the Black Panther Party is scary? Don't you think it's scaring people?" He said, "My people have been the ones afraid. Hey, sister, we got free groceries over here, free hot soup and free clothes." He said, "My people be the one afraid for hundreds of years. So if you're saying people scared of us now, that's a compliment. That means we're doing something right." You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying my hardest not to look at the chat because you guys are cracking me up. But yeah, and I think the thing is like at the end of the day, whenever you call yourself the Black Panthers, people are going to check and see if that is the case, if you're actually a member of the Black Panther Party. And that was also the case here. I want to show you this one. It's Queen Shit said, "Girl, he is a Fed. The real Black Panthers have denounced him. Watch the last video." Now, before I play this video, let me go ahead and put this up here. Before I play this video, the woman here, she said that she is Huey P. Newton's niece. And I have to say this because we gotta be fair here to put this all out there. Just FYI, she is a Trump supporter. That's not a secret if you look at her TikTok. So just keep that in mind. But she says she is Huey P. Newton's niece, and she is not happy with the message that they are spreading. And she said that they're not Black Panthers. I'm going to show you another person who says this as well. Let's bring this up here.
I'm going to try to make this video as calmly as possible. My name is Maisha Newton. My father's name was Walter Newton. He was the brother of Huey Percy Newton, who started the Black Panther Party in Oakland, California. Okay, my handle name is Maisha 415 Newton. I got birth certificate paperwork and a whole bunch of Newtons who are ready to listen. This goes out to the Black Panther Party, the new United Black Panther Party, whoever's out there protesting with these Somalians. I'm about to get a cease and desist order against you, and I'm about to sue you because you guys you are not going to defame my uncle's name like that. We're not doing that. See you in court, bitches.
Uh-oh. So yeah, that's what I was trying to tell you guys. Like, and she's not the only one, but some people who are like Black Panther Party members or connected to the Black Panther Party, like relatives of, are not happy about this at all. It's the use of the name is a big thing. You know, no one's gonna say you guys shouldn't be doing mutual aid. Like, there's a lot of people who do mutual aid. I do mutual aid, but people get pissed when you take their name. Now let's talk about Birdsong. I didn't believe this at first. I had to double check this myself. Somebody found him apparently at one point. I guess he was a blood. So I don't know what Birdsong is doing. But it seems like he just wants to be a part of a group, some type of group. But this guy found the news segment. Watch this.
So y'all now are familiar with this guy right here, Paul Birdsong, the guy who's going around screaming he's the new chairman of the Black Panther Party. I want y'all to take a look at this footage right here that I found.
Chief of an interview we did 2 weeks ago with a protester. He talked about protesters in Portland being taken in unmarked vehicles by agents. But during the interview, he talks about gangs in Lansing.
You come try to snatch one of us, the rest of us gonna blast them. You better do that while we not with each other. And then you come to in Sandhurst with the Pyrus and the gangster disciples is linked up at and try to snatch somebody over there. I dare you. Make sure you get this in Sandhurst. That's Sandhurst. Come over there, try to take somebody.
Not only do we have that footage, but come to find out, your man's is a sexual offender. Sexual offender. Register, sexual offender. He got to register. This is why I keep telling y'all. Y'all keep trying to argue with me in the comments. Y'all have to stop blindly following people that just pop up out of nowhere with a cause. This man is an agent. He is an agent that is working for the government in some way, shape, or form. I do not believe this man has free will and he's out here making decisions on his own. I've seen him as a Pyru. I've seen him dressed as a blood. I've seen him in a Malcolm X outfit. He has identity crisis. Huey P. Newton's daughter is filing a lawsuit against this man for using the Black Panther name and image. But y'all, please stop following false prophets. Don't J. Cole got a song about false prophets? Nothing that this man is doing is beneficial to the Black community.
So who is Birdsong? Because I don't know. It seemed like he wanted to be a part of some group, whether it was the Bloods or the Panthers or I don't know. But it just, and sometimes we just don't know with a lot of the things that this guy brought up a really good point, what we see online, we got to remember it's online. And a lot of times we don't know these people. Now, to be fair, some people did say that they've seen them out in the community in Philly, like doing good work, helping people. Okay, but does that mean they're a member of the Black Panther Party? Well, let's hear what, I think I have that one here. Come back. Let's hear what Rome said. So my comrade Rome from RBN, Rome contacted Fred Hampton Jr. because Rome is cool with Fred Hampton Jr. like that. He has worked with him on mutual aid. Just last summer, he was at the Hampton House and they were doing a mutual aid event there. So for those of us, like you guys don't know, like those of us a part of RBN, we do mutual aid. So like we aspire to follow those footsteps of the Black Panthers to help the community and stuff like that. So that's why like I have a mutual aid chapter here. Rome has one in Detroit. JB has one in Orlando. So we practice the mutual aid that the Black Panthers did. But Rome just, a lot of us were like, what is going on with these Philly Black Panthers? So Rome contacted Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. And listen to this.
Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., he is the chairman of the Chicago. And, a couple of people had already reached out to him and tried to see what was going on. Like, is these parties legit? Like, I know there's only so much that he can say and do. I know, he's not responsible for every chapter, but he should still have some insight on what's going on around the world with these parties and their names. And when I when I talked to Chairman, we was speaking on, a lot of people using, not only Fred Hampton name, but the Black Panthers name. And he was really pissed off about that because he said there's a lot of people out here, there's a lot of phonies out here that claim to be Black Panthers. They have no affiliation. We don't know anything about these people. Like, they just pop up and they just say they're Black Panthers one day and then they just disappear. And that's what we have been seeing for a while now. I got a hole in my head. Oh shit. That's what we have been seeing for a while. So hold on, let me share my screen because I can't even believe half of the shit that you see on the streets because we don't know who was actually around us, because this is the thing. They are only able to pull this stuff off because we don't have community. You know what I'm saying? So anybody can show up and say that they are a Black Panther, that they are, any type of resistance group. Anybody can show up with a black face, a brown face, and say anything because we don't have community. Because if I say that to say this, if they was the real Black Panthers, man, they would have came out there deep. They would have had a hell of a community watch out there. They would have had a lot of people out there. It wouldn't just be a couple of faces.
Yeah. So what Rome also goes on to say is that he spoke to Fred Hampton Jr. and that he's going to make a statement soon. So this is why I think, when it comes to these types of things, it's best to just ask people that are part of the party and take it from there, because, sometimes people just, I think sometimes people want to be a part of something. Like, for those who don't know, and I'll bring this up here, this is when the truce happened between Rome and Fred Hampton Jr. This is them here. And hey, this was a long time coming. Like, if you haven't been with us since the day that we started, a lot of people don't know about this, but it took time to get here. And the thing was, like, for those of us at RBN in the beginning, we were called the Fred Hampton leftists. And the goal was to motivate people to follow in those footsteps in regards to mutual aid, like to do community building and to establish mutual aid like networks. We never called ourselves the Black Panther Party. We never called ourselves Fred Hampton. We said we wanted to be, take that community and organizing energy and spread that around and get more people active in community building. But during that time, there were people that were not happy with the fact that we called ourselves the Fred Hampton leftists. So we were known as FHL. And they went to Chairman, just being openly transparent here. They went to Fred Hampton Jr. and complained and said, these people are using your dad's name, making money off his name. The funny part was, at that time, any money that was made didn't even go to any of us, because we had 11 people in the group at one point. So just imagine that on YouTube, and you have a smaller channel. So we had 11 people. Rome at one point was trying to raise money for the Hampton House. But, there were people out there that had a problem with it. And some people were being trolls, but they had a problem with it. So ultimately, we decided, change the name, just let's put it aside, change the name to Revolutionary Blackout Network. That's how we became RBN. But after that whole debacle, Rome still decided that he wanted to make peace and move forward with Fred Hampton Jr. And so that did happen. And ever since then, they collaborate and work together for mutual aid. What I learned from that is this, and you're going to hear this from Amanda as well. You just better off doing your own name, your own thing. whether you like a group or not. Like if you like the Black Panthers, that's great, but you're really better off having your own name, doing your own thing. And I think that's important for people to see, because at the end of the day, it's like, hey, I'm all for people doing mutual aid. I'm all for people helping the community and organizing. But I think there are certain organizations that when you use that name, like people are going to look at you a certain way, because it's like, think about what the Black Panthers actually went through in this country. And so some people just use it and they try to cosplay with it, and it does anger people. So I think you better off just doing your own damn thing, to be honest with you. But in the part about Huey P. Newton, I do want to show you guys this. Huey P. Newton, co-founder of the Black Panther Party, with Palestinian resistance fighters outside an unnamed refugee camp in Lebanon. So what some people don't realize is that the Black Panther Party was international. This is not something that just existed in the United States. They were establishing chapters across the world. A lot of times that's not talked about, right? And I did want to acknowledge that. People ask, you know, how would the Black Panthers respond right now to ICE? There are different like quotes from Huey P. Newton, etc., and others where they stood in solidarity. So this is a picture here of the Black Panther Party International section here, where they stood in solidarity with other groups. Now, I will say this, though, and I think this is where some people get into mixed up. If you stood in solidarity with the Black Panthers, and let's say you weren't, you know, Black, then you were to have your own group. So when people talk about the Rainbow Coalition, yes, there was a Rainbow Coalition, but the Young Lords and the Young Patriots, those were separate groups. And the Young Patriots, for those who don't know, those were working class white people, and the Young Lords were working class Hispanic people. And so what Fred Hampton did is that he went to those organizations and said, how about we form, you know, a coalition, but they couldn't actually join the Black Panthers. Does that make sense? And also at one point I saw something, and a lot of people don't know this, but there at one point was a White Panther Party. And it was like, they said white people who stand in solidarity with the Black Panthers, and they created their own like thing called the White Panther Party. But I think the thing is that everybody says what the Black Panthers would do or would have done. And I think there's a lot that's in there. I don't think it's just one way or the other, but I will say, which people continue to get wrong about the Black Panthers, is no, like if you were white, if you were, you know, Latino or Hispanic, no, you weren't joining the Black Panthers. You had your own group, and then Fred Hampton had the Rainbow Coalition. So you guys had a coalition together, but you couldn't be a member of the Black Panther Party. And some people didn't like that. There were Black Panther members that didn't like that Rainbow Coalition and left the Black Panther Party. There were people that were part of the Young Patriots that didn't like that coalition and left the Young Patriots. And I think sometimes people tell part of the story, but they don't tell the whole story, right? So that's something that people need to see. Now, Amanda, we got to go to Amanda. Amanda said something. Can I make this? I hate when the Instagram videos are so hard to play here. Amanda, I think, made a good point, because she was just basically like, just do your own thing. Like, this is why. Let me see if I can play it here.
Who are not co-signed by the Black Panthers. How about this? Why can't y'all start your own organizations? Why? Because the name Black Panther is trusted. And so you want people to automatically trust you. When in actuality, you should be starting from scratch and encouraging and engaging in order to earn that trust the same way the Panthers did. They had consistent presence in communities across the world. I'm paraphrasing, but number 8 of the Black Panther 10-point program is, we are against the oppression of all people, so we want the end to the oppressing. That's not just for Black people. That said, we need more organizations based on the framework of the Panthers that provide constituency services as well as militarized protection.
And everybody need to come up with their own name. And that's how you avoid all of this. Come up with your own name. The Boston Mutual Aid chapter is the Boston Mutual Aid chapter. We're not the Black Panthers of Boston. We're just the Boston Mutual Aid chapter. Come up with your own name. And I think that's a big lesson to learn from this. But a lot of people, I told you I was going to wait to talk about this because I wanted to get that confirmation. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, well, here we are. So just come up with your own name, guys. Come up with your own name and take it from there. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to some of the comments here. Eric, we can go to the next part there. Cloudness said, I'm never fooled by these boot-licking ass sellouts trying to fake jacks. Casual said they're having an open house meet and greet the 31st in Philly, supposedly with elders and stuff. That's cool. They should probably change their name, though. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you, Courtney. So Mel Jackson acting as a Black Panther leader now. John said Frederick in the Hampton. Oh my God, John. John, you're a mess. Brian says, come on, CIA, you got to do better. Black folks are getting better at recognizing psyops. Thank you, Zone. The MAGA FBA sellouts made them trend so fast in their anti-ICE. I would like to see evidence of them being compromised. Interesting. Measured Man, if Timu Black Panther don't sit down somewhere, Hector is a mess. Say her name ain't for Renee. Oh my God. Thank you, Justice by Karma. This co-opting ass clown is the new Enrico Tario. I didn't want to read these comments. Cloud said he's all over the place. Thank you, Grant. So they're cutting Gazans off from the sea so they can no longer fish or wait for potential aid or leave. Or leave, right? Thank you, Focus. You guys don't understand. The gang assignment was his last undercover operation. He has a new real identity now. Oh my God. Thank you, Logically. Were the cop videos staged then? Makes me wonder. I don't know. Good question. I don't know. Measured Man said he recently dropped the black from the name so he can call himself the Panther Party as of today. Okay. Interesting. Thank you, Real Talk. Love you, Sabby. Keep working for the people. Let's go. All right. Thank you. All right, guys. We got 2 more stories for you. I promise I'll get you out of here by 10:30. Ding, ding, ding. Promise. All right. Again, the theme is all the small things. And when we talk about all the small things, we need to look at some of the small things that happened during the CNN panel. Although they may seem to be minuscule, I think it actually matters. There was a debate about the Epstein files on the CNN panel with Scott Jennings, and I believe this woman's name is Lee McGowan. She's known as Politics Girl. She was also an actress in Canada before she came here and got into politics. Interesting how that happened. But everything hits the fan during this conversation. So let's start with that. I'm going to come back to the Anna one. And I want to go to, make sure I'm going to the right one. We'll come back to Erika. I want to go to this part. Let's start here, and then I'll come back to Anna because I want to prove a point. CNN panel erupts over the Epstein files. You guys have got to hear this. This is wild.
They should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist here. There's no
let's not get our
punishment for this.
knickers in a twist over child rape. Why are you talking like that? It's insane. Like, it's insane. The Epstein files
What's
is
insane?
a multinational, multi-generational child and woman sex trafficking ring. So your attitude right now, you're sort of like, well, shucks, devil begun, is just horrifying to me. Every woman in the world that is watching this Why are you acting like you have no idea what's happening here? Scott, this is...
He asked
this
me a
is
question about following the law.
And what
I
I'm
said they
saying
should
to you
follow
is
the
your
law.
attitude. Yes, and they're not following the law. They're 30 days late on following law, and they didn't explain why they redacted the first things in the first place, which they were also supposed to do.
I know.
Listen,
you
at
have a
this
strong
point, this
opinion
is not...
about it, and
I have a strong
respect
opinion
that.
about it.
You guys notice I noticed about Scott Jennings. We'll go back and start from the beginning. Scott Jennings had more anger towards the pro-Palestinian protesters than he does towards the people that were a part of Epstein's Island. Scott Jennings has more anger for the pro-Palestinian protesters than he does for these men that trafficked and abused these women. I'll explain to you why in just a second. But again, watch how calmly he says this.
They should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist here.
They should follow the law, but let's not get our knickers in a twist. But when we were talking about the protests, Scott Jennings was raging and, this is anti-Semitic, it's against Israel and da-da-da-da. He had so much fire and so much energy over people who were protesting. But when it comes to people who actually trafficked, abused, sexually assaulted underage people, we're also talking about intelligence here. We're also talking about the Mossad. And you know Scott Jennings is pro-Israel. He was just in Israel not too long ago. When it comes to people who did real crimes for years, harmed people, trafficked underage people, Scott Jennings feels as though you should not get your knickers in a bunch. Let's go on.
Let's not get our knickers in a twist over child rape. Why are you talking like that? It's insane. Like, it's insane. The Epstein Files is a multinational, multi-generational child and woman sex trafficking ring. So your attitude right now, you're sort of like, well, shucks, devil be gone, is just horrifying to me. Every woman in the world that is watching this, why are you acting like you have no idea what's happening here? Scott, this is...
He asked me a question about following the law.
And what I'm
I said
saying
they should
to you
follow
is
the
your
law.
attitude. Yes, and they're not following the law. They're 30 days late on following law, and they didn't explain why they redacted the first things in the first place, which they were also supposed to do.
I know.
Listen,
you
at
have
this
a strong
point, this is
opinion
not...
about it, and
I have a strong
respect
opinion
that.
about it because it is a
But I think
disgusting
they should do it
policy
as
that they are
fast as
doing
they
this.
can.
They are hiding it. It is not the behavior of innocent people, and everything that is in these files it could bring an entire house down. And if it has to, it has to. If it brings down Democrats, bring them down. If it brings down Republicans, bring them down. If it brings down princes, world leaders, Hollywood people, bring them down. But what it feels like right now is that there's a giant cabal of people that do not have to listen to the law, do not have to oppose the law, and they were supposed to do something, then they didn't do something, and now they're trying to have a new law that says we don't even have to do it.
That was very telling. Now, Politics Girl, one thing I will say, she said if it's Democrats, she doesn't care. I think that's interesting because I don't remember her saying anything when Tara Reid came forward against Joe Biden. I remember Politics Girl making a number of videos to praise and applaud Joe Biden. I don't remember her saying anything when Tara Reid came forward. And there were other women too, by the way. Remember, Tara Reid wasn't alone. I don't remember her saying anything about that. So that's interesting. But what this video shows you is that Scott Jennings is doing the bidding, not just for Israel, but also for his party, because I want to show you the stark difference. It's just insane to me that all of a sudden this guy who called people anti-Semitic and called people all these names and said people were criminals, and he said these nasty things about people because of things that they said. He was so angry then, but when it comes to people who actually physically harm people, Scott doesn't think you should get your panties in a bunch. No biggie there. Now, I want to show you a point about that. Pay close attention to him here. If we go back to August of 2025, watch the expression on Scott Jennings' face when Anna Kasparian brings up the Israeli guy who was a part of that sexting operation, who fled, the Israeli pedo guy who fled to Israel. Watch this.
The problem with Trump, though, is I think crime is the cover story. I think this is a power grab. And the reason why I say that is because look at the specific examples of crime that he allegedly wants to go after. I mean, just recently, his FBI did a sting operation in Las Vegas, and they managed to catch, through this sting operation, 8 separate pedophiles that were trying to have sex with minors, okay? One of those pedophiles is an Israeli government official who his government allowed to fly back to Israel after he had been charged in that sting operation for using technology to lure a minor for sex.
Look at the expression on Scott Jennings' face. Now, she's correct. We covered that story on this channel as well, right? Notice how calm he is. This is the same guy who spread the lie on CNN that Hamas put babies in ovens, who spread the lie that Hamas sexually assaulted. Remember the whole sexual assault host thing that we talked about before, which had been debunked multiple times? Scott Jennings was still spreading that narrative. But notice how calm Scott Jennings is when Anna Kasparian says there was an Israeli pedo here who was caught up in that sex sting, and he was able to get on the plane and go right back to Israel. It's a very telling moment.
And when it comes to the immigration issue, he loves to go after the undocumented immigrants, but not the employers employing the undocumented immigrants.
You mentioned that Trump, you described it as a cover story, but I think it's also worth.
Scott Jennings goes on to say nothing. Nothing. So why is it, Scott, that when you continue to spread the lie about Hamas doing those things, why is it you have so much outrage? But when people say that Israel or Israelis did those things, it's not a big deal. You shouldn't worry about it. This is the biggest problem that I notice with this type of supremacy with Israel, this idea that they can do whatever they want. Christians can go to Israel. They get spit on. Nobody gives a damn. I saw a video the other day of a woman, a Christian woman that was in Israel, and they were kicking her. Israeli boys were kicking her. It's okay because they're Israeli. Nobody gives a damn. They can do whatever they want to do. And Scott Jennings preaches that same and practices that same type of philosophy. He has that same mentality that they can do whatever they want to do. And that is very dangerous. You can add Mike Huckabee to that camp as well, because he also feels that way. And to show you the difference, when they mention his party, watch this. Epstein files again, but watch what happens when he brings up Bill Clinton. Watch how quickly things change.
Look, they've released how many documents tonight? 200,000? More? 400?
10% of that's
okay.
5%
So a good faith effort is being made to release files tonight.
Really?
They're obviously doing that. And I think as it relates to redactions, I mean, my impression is that there's a whole lot of names of victims in there and minors and other people that you probably wouldn't want to release, and they do need to be redacted. Regarding Bill Clinton, I'm sorry to tell you, the reason that Bill Clinton's picture is in the Epstein files is because this has always been a story about Bill Clinton and not Donald Trump. We should call it the Clinton files, not the Epstein files. That's what we're learning tonight. This is the Clinton files. This is the blowing up.
So Bill Clinton is in those files, and we've talked about Bill Clinton in those files multiple times on the show. But we've also talked about Donald Trump being in those files as well. But notice how quickly Scott Jennings pivots and says it should not be called the Epstein files. It should be called the Bill Clinton files. Why is Scott Jennings trying to protect the name of Jeffrey Epstein? We all know that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent. There's pictures in the Epstein files of IDF sweatshirt, Epstein's IDF sweatshirt. Do you see what he did there? Don't get me wrong. Bill Clinton's an ass, and he should be called out. Everybody in there should be called out. But why is Scott Jennings trying to say it shouldn't be called the Epstein files anymore? These are the types of things that I notice, you guys, things that I pay attention to.
In the face of the Democrats over this. It's Bill Clinton. This is a story about Democrats and Bill Clinton, and it's always been that way.
So Scott Jennings, and this goofy ass look on his face, Scott Jennings is not just protecting Israel, but he's protecting his party. He can talk about the Epstein files and call it out as long as he's talking about someone like Bill Clinton. The moment you mention Donald Trump's name, all of a sudden it all shuts down. Nothing to see there. don't get your knickers in a bunch. And when you say, and I got to say this, for people who are conservative, if you say that you care about women and children, you can't just say, I care about women and children that are part of my party. That's all women and children. Now all of a sudden, Scott, nothing to see there. Whoopsie, no big deal. He said that on a national broadcast. What does that say? And also, what message does that send to survivors? You see, it's all the small things. It's the little things that you can miss if you're not paying attention. And these are the kind of things I noticed from him. Now, watch this just to prove my point. And I do think that Cameron here, he didn't have evidence to say this. So I will say he probably shouldn't have said that because he doesn't have evidence. But watch how quickly he comes in to defend when Trump's name gets mentioned. Watch this.
Initiative that the president is being transparent about this. I would love it if he was more transparent about the human sex trafficking network that he was a part of, but you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott, what do you think about that?
You going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring? Or,
well,
I mean,
we're going to talk about the Epstein file. Scott, I will do the fact checking as we go along here. Repeat what you said about the global sex trafficking ring.
That Donald Trump was provably very involved with it.
Okay. We'll get to that later. I mean, Donald Trump has never been charged with any crimes in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. But
let's be adults here.
We'll talk about Epstein
Let's be
files later.
serious.
Now, to be fair, like I said, he hasn't been officially charged with those crimes. I agree to that. But the point is, notice how quickly he came in to defend. Watch.
But you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott, what do you think about that?
you going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring? Or
the number of times that Scott Jennings has told lies about people on CNN during these panel discussions, and people have corrected him or tried to correct him to his face. Scott Jennings tells lies on these panels all the time. But because it was Trump, let me come in and protect him. And another little secret that I'll let you know if you're not aware, a lot of these people are friends in real life. Abby Phillips and Scott Jennings, there's pictures of them hanging out together outside of work. So they put these panels together as some sort of debate. I don't know. I think CNN is trying to do like this Piers Morgan thing, as that's what it's supposed to be. So they put these panels together as some type of debate or whatever to get you to think, oh, look, we're talking to people that we disagree with. Look at that. But a lot of times it's an act and it's propaganda. Scott Jennings is there to carry water for the Trump administration and also to carry water for Israel. And then they'll bring on someone like Anna, or they'll bring on someone like, I forget the other girl used to go on there. Emma Vigilant comes on there sometimes. They'll bring on the other person to show, see, we have a difference of opinion here, and this person has the other position. But at no point in time, I feel like a lot of times when Scott lies, when people try to correct them, they either don't get the sentence in there or he overshouts them. And whoever is moderating, whether it's that guy or usually it's Abby Phillips, they don't correct the lies either. So we have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. We literally have people trying to make excuses for sex trafficking who were calling out sex trafficking under the Biden administration, now all of a sudden trying to find a way to twist themselves into this pretzel to protect their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. We have a problem. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Actually, I think Roger said to save these for him. I think so. Oh, let me go to this one. Thank you, Zone. Just going to say it. Yvette Carnell, ADOS creator, and Tariq Nasheed, FBA creator, own these trademarks. They've both long been bought by MAGA and caught wearing MAGA attire. It's not a lineage or ethnicity. COINTELPRO cult. So I've interviewed Yvette Carnell, and I've never seen Yvette Carnell wearing any type of MAGA stuff. But I've interviewed her. From what I understand is that she's asking for things for the ADOS community, but I've never seen her like support Trump or anything like that. I guess we'll come back to the other ones, I think. Oh, Roger said, Sabrina, this is exactly why Zoomers are leaving both parties. Yep. Very interesting. I'll leave the rest of them there for Eric, and then we're going to go to the last story. I promised you guys 10:30, so let me keep it moving and grooving. Okay. All the small things. Well, there are many small things when it comes to Erika Kirk, and she is now on this tour. She's on a tour called Make Heaven Crowded. Now, I don't know about you guys. Like, I thought this was a joke at first. I'm not even exaggerating. It's a TPUSA faith tour called Make Heaven Crowded. That's the name. That's the title. And I just kind of feel like the name Make Heaven Crowded probably isn't fitting at this point in time, considering that the former CEO of Turning Point USA was just assassinated. It kind of sends a weird message. It's like, how are you going to make heaven crowded? Like, I don't know. It's not something that is not a good pick. Not good timing. Don't think it's good. No. Not good. I don't know who picked this. I don't know who's coming up with the logistics, but that was not good. However, she did present on the stage, and she kind of threw a little bit of shade here. I want to show you guys this.
When all of this happened, you really see who your true friends are. You see who is in your corner. You see who is writing, excuse me, this microphone, who is writing my husband's coattails and who genuinely cared and who genuinely wanted to be there for us as a family. And anyways, everyone, does their best to pour into you and be there for you. And when all of this happened.
So, yeah. Riding her husband's coattails. I just don't know why that needs to be mentioned. I'm assuming she's probably referencing some of the podcasters that have been looking further into this. But I just don't understand why that is important at this particular event, right? Some could say that Erika also rode those coattails. Let's be clear. She would not be CEO of Turning Point USA today if she was not married to Charlie Kirk. And it brought up another question. I can't show you too much of this because it was difficult to watch, but that one was kind of a doozy. It brought up another question for me about who Erika Kirk actually is. This is really strange and very disturbing. One of the people that was a part of this tour, Pastor Greg Laurie, you guys know right now, he's apparently facing allegations of negligence, child sex trafficking violations. Turning Point USA has launched its Make Heaven Crowded tour, headlined by Erika Kirk and Pastor Greg Laurie. Pastor Greg Laurie and Harvest Christian Fellowship are currently facing several high-profile lawsuits alleging negligence, child sex trafficking violations, and a 2-decade-long cover-up. This is the new leadership at Turning Point USA. I have to go in just a little bit here because there's music playing. So it started right about here. So you can see who this guy is. He's part of the tour.
And thank you, Invisible Voice. I was 17 years old, a brand new believer. I heard the pastor say, you need to go out and talk to people about Jesus Christ. And I thought, well, I've been a believer now for 3 weeks. I know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he knows a lot of stuff, all right. And I see these things online, so I like to go and check them for myself as well. And sure enough, wait till you see it. I just don't know who made this decision. By the way, this isn't something that happened a long time ago. This was just recent. Lawsuits accuse former California megachurch pastor of child sex abuse in Romania. This article was published, September 18th, 2025. That was just a couple of months ago, guys. So it's not even like this was years ago. This was just a couple of months ago. And I'll just read it for you right here. A former Riverside megachurch pastor has been accused of sexually abusing and trafficking children for years at a shelter he ran in Bucharest, according to lawsuits filed by 2 Romanian men. The complaints filed Tuesday by 33-year-old Marian Barbu, a 40-year-old Mihai Constantin Petcu, said former Harvest Christian Fellowship pastor and missionary Paul Hovsgard severely abused them and dozens of other children at the shelter over 8 years. The lawsuits also name the church founder and senior pastor. I don't know why I did that. Sorry about that. Here we go. Greg Laurie, a well-known evangelist and author, as well as other senior church leaders, saying they failed to prevent abuse. Here's another one. This one's more recent. 7 women among 10 filing new sex abuse lawsuits naming Paul Hovsgard, Harvest Christian Fellowship. Let's go forward here. I'll make it a little bit bigger because the font's like, yeah. So check this out. 7 women are among 10 new individuals who recently filed federal lawsuits alleging they were repeatedly sexually abused and trafficked by former Harvest Christian Fellowship pastor Paul Hovsgard while living in a now defunct children's home in Romania operated by the California mega church. The new lawsuits, which also name Harvest Christian Fellowship founder Greg Laurie and missions pastor Richard Schutt as defendants, join 12 others previously filed by men alleging similar abuse as teenagers. And he's on the tour. And not only is he on the tour, but he's also on the flyer. Right here. Let me mute it because of the sound. Like, I can't even make this up. Like, and again, like people make it seem like, you know, you guys are fishing, you guys are just looking for things. Can't really look for something that's right there. I mean, it's right there. Pastor Greg Laurie. Why is this guy a part of this Make Heaven Crowded 2026 tour? Guys, the articles I showed you were recent. The first one I showed you is from September 2025. The tour just started this January. Why is he a part of the tour? And then the new allegations that just came forward, bring up that date for that one as well. The date for this article is January 16th of this year. Why is he a part of this tour? And it brings up some other questions about Erika that I wanted to get into. I want to show you guys. You know, something ain't right. Something is just not right. When Erika had this interview with Barry Weiss, this town hall of sorts, one of the things that she said was that she was encouraging women to start having kids younger. She said she loved being a stay-at-home mom. You know, she painted herself as like this traditional wife. And that's not really the case. Other things are coming out that is looking really suspicious. Like, for one, she said she's a stay-at-home mom, but she's also a businesswoman. She owns businesses. So what do you mean, right? But then this video just resurfaced of Erika Kirk, and I guess at the time, her boyfriend, JT Massey. This is back when she was Erika Franzve, however you pronounce her last name. And this is them auditioning for The Amazing Race. Watch this and tell me if you feel like this seems like the same person you're hearing from today.
It's all good, baby.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, I'm JT Massey. I'm 25 years old from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm a minor league baseball player with the Colorado Rockies, and I'm going to be racing with my girlfriend.
Hi, I'm Erika Kirk. I'm 25 years old from Scottsdale, Arizona, and I currently live in Venice, California.
Franze. So I have this question. In that town hall interview with Barry Weiss, she said she hadn't dated before Charlie. But then all these other pictures and videos started resurfacing as like, yes, you did. You dated this guy, JT Massey. People are finding everything. All these videos are resurfacing from years ago. And not only that, but like they auditioned for the show, The Amazing Race. We'll get into this a little bit more. Why lie? Why say you didn't date before Charlie when you did? Why is that something that you need to make up? That was really weird to me. Very bizarre, almost as if they wanted to paint the story that didn't exist.
So March 1st, we went on our first date.
Well, I got it wrong because I thought it was the day before, and I called him and I was like, "Hi, so I'm going to be running late for our date," and he's like, "Actually, it's tomorrow."
Yeah, I'm sitting at dinner with my dad in Arizona, and I'm like, did I mess up the date or what? End up standing up from the table to call her, and she messed up the date.
I did. So we went to Maggiano's.
Yeah, it worked out.
It was good.
We went to Maggiano's. I picked her up. It was raining.
It was.
Kind of different night in Arizona, and picked her up at her house, and later met her mom on the first night.
This is important. This guy is saying that he met her mom on the first night. But Erika went on national television and told everybody that she didn't date before Charlie Kirk. Your former boyfriend literally met your mom. And then that's another question. So the family's just sitting back like, okay, why is she making this up? She knows she had this whole other freaking human who was in a relationship with her at one point in time. What the hell is happening here? And that's just what I'm asking you guys. I do not understand these types of lies. You know, like I understand sometimes people give like, you know, white lies and things like that. But I don't understand this type of lie of I never dated anyone else. I don't know if that was like some type of plan to make her seem to be more pure than she act. I just don't get it. To me, that does not make any sense. Now, we'll continue on a little bit here, and then I want to take you back to right after the music, something else that happened that people are pointing out.
It's a big deal for the
Exciting
first
stuff.
night.
Yeah, not trying to scare her off or anything.
But it was good.
It was great. Easy conversation.
And then we spent literally every single day with each other since then. And I couldn't go to his house that he was staying at because I wasn't allowed to, because the girl who was married to the guy he was living with was very territorial of her nest. So we had to brainstorm of different places to socialize and meet at.
Hang out.
So we would close
spend
out
time.
coffee shops and Chipotle's, and we just brainstormed. We would do it.
So again, spend every day together, but does not, for whatever reason, this guy just did not exist during that town hall. Let me go back to the part that she said here that people like really got people in a like, what the hell?
Hi.
Good morning, America.
I've lived in China. I've lived in Chongqing. I've been to Romania. I've been to Croatia. Lived in Puerto Rico for a little bit. Really handsome.
You look gorgeous. Are you fixing my... Got a little bacon. Babe, that's deep in there. Give them a cleavage. People want cleavage. Showcase it.
Sex sells, babe.
Sex sells.
Who is this? This seems like a completely different person. And yes, you know, sometimes I get it. People get older and they do grow and they evolve and they change. But it almost seems as though when I was watching this and I saw the whole thing, when I was watching this, it almost seemed like she seemed happier for whatever reason. Like, granted, obviously, you know, her husband was just killed, but it almost seems like we're looking at two different people. And when I looked at this, it seems like to me that that is the real Erika Kirk, not the Erika that you see today. And I want to show you something else to prove that. Further in this conversation, if we go on a little bit here, listen to what she says here. This does not sound like someone who wanted to be a traditional wife. Listen. Sorry, guys. Twitter does this sometimes. Let me just go back in.
Far from home. So been going a lot in a lot of different ways to travel, from bus to train to a lot of airport time. And I know she's spent a lot of time in the airport with her job and with
Modern
different
day
things.
gypsy.
Yeah, flying around.
Yeah. But I think both of us have been to poor areas, so we understand kind of how intense a different culture can be and how it can actually be, for lack of better terms, a culture shock. Especially like I've lived in China, I've lived in Chongqing, I've been to Romania, I've been in Croatia, lived in Puerto Rico for a little bit. So even though we haven't been dating long, there are some key things that are like the pillars of our relationship. One of them obviously being our faith. The other one being that we just have a borderless heart to help people and to give back. And you know, I have been to Romania and teamed up with the Marine Corps to open up and sustain an orphanage with 75 beautiful children. And that's called Romanian Angels through my nonprofit, Everyday Heroes Like You. And I know JT's also done some nonprofit work as well.
Yeah.
This seems like a different person. And notice what she said here. She said, we haven't been dating long, but we have a lot in common, and that's why we want to be on this show. So again, they're auditioning for The Amazing Race, which was a big show at one point. I don't even know if that's still on anymore, but they hadn't been dating long, but they were auditioning for the show, The Amazing Race, as a couple. And what that says to me is that either they both really wanted to get into entertainment business. Remember, I showed another video, a reality video of Erika Kirk, where she was on a dating reality show. She was in a music video. She was in a documentary. She's been in a number of things. And it almost seems like this is really what Erika wanted to do. She seems a lot more bubbly and happy. Like it seems like this is what she wanted to do. She wanted to work in entertainment, whether it was reality TV, whether it was like movies or music videos, things like that. This seems like a completely different person. And they look very happy. And it makes me wonder. This does not sound like someone who wants to be a traditional wife. This does not sound like someone who wants to be a stay-at-home mom. And that is not to say that people can't grow and change, but it feels like a 180. So they both did nonprofit work. Listen to what he says here.
I went to Kenya with a nonprofit organization called With Open Eyes. And we had the opportunity to do prison ministry, and we visited several orphanages around the Nairobi area in Kenya.
We play sports. We're good at sports and things like that, and we're athletic.
Yeah, it seems like a completely different person. Observers said Erika Kirk claimed that she did not date while living in New York City for 5 years before meeting Charlie Kirk, but that's been proven wrong too. That's the thing. People have proven that wrong. It wasn't just this guy. To me, it does not make any sense. Now, there's something else I want to show you because it's just weird things. Here's the weirdest part. And I believe in coincidences, but this shit is weird. Did you know that there is another Erika Kirk? There's another Erika Kirk who looks like Erika Kirk. Back in the day, I really did not believe this, so I had to look up the information for myself. So I'm going to show you the other information as well. Back in the day, there was Erika Kirk, 1934. She passed away in 2023. And there's the current Erika Kirk, but they look alike. And that's the scary part. Check out this and listen to the coincidence.
Erika Kirk, Another Erika Kirk. Same exact name, same exact spelling, both political wives, both married to outspoken Republicans. Current Erika is nicknamed Miss Arizona, and the first Erika was nicknamed Madam X. People called the first Erika Kirk Madam X because they say she just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Both have striking blue eyes and blonde hair. They even do their eyeliner the same, and personally, I think they have the same face structure. The first Erika Kirk passed away now, but was from Palm Beach County, Florida, which raises another huge red flag. If you've been following my videos, you know why. I don't want to tell you guys what to think. I'm simply giving you the information. Do you think these are like all coincidences, or is there something else going on here?
So let's go through this together slowly.
Erika Kirk. Another Erika Kirk.
1934, born in 1934, born in 1988.
Same exact name, same exact spelling, both political wives.
This one right here, ding, 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 ding. Both of them were political wives, and peep this. Neither one of them had Kirk as their maiden name. They both married a Kirk. Both political wives. And they just happen to look alike. I wouldn't even touch this if they didn't look alike, but they look alike. And it's scary how much they look alike.
Both married to outspoken Republicans. Current Erika is nicknamed Miss Arizona, and the first Erika was nicknamed Madam X. People called the first Erika Kirk Madam X because they say she just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Both have striking blue eyes and blonde hair. They even do their eyeliner the same, and personally, I think they have the same face structure. The first Erika Kirk passed away now, but was from Palm Beach County, Florida, which raises another huge red flag. If you've been following my videos, you know why. I don't want to tell you guys what to think. I'm simply giving you the
So look, now I'll go a little bit deeper because I'll show you. This is her. Her name was Erika Matfeld Kirk. She was the former First Lady of Florida, and at this time, the widow of Governor Claude Kirk. It's the eyes. For me, it's the eyes that look similar. And this woman passed away in 2023. Again, not too long ago. Very weird. And I don't even know who originally found this. I don't know if it was the woman who made that video, but this is just spooky. It's spook, spook, spook. It says, when first introduced to the world of Florida politics in January 1967, she was known simply as Madam X. It's true. Get this. Governor Claude Kirk caused quite a stir when he was dancing with her, the mystery blonde woman. CK. Charlie Kirk's name, CK. So CK, Claude Kirk, Charlie Kirk, CK. That's the other similarity. Again, it's just weird. And then that woman was Erika Matfeld, a German national from Brazil who had recently met Kirk on a blind date when he visited the South American country on business. A blind date. It's just weird. And I believe in coincidences, but some things, I don't know, guys. It's the eyes. That's what I was telling you guys. You can see it in the eyes. There she is. And it makes me wonder something. Like I said, when you watch that video of Erika auditioning for The Amazing Race, it seems like that's what she wanted to do. That's the life that she wanted to live. And it almost kind of feels like she said she went into Turning Point USA to get a job. What if someone told her to go in there and apply for a job? What if Erika Kirk was a creation just like J.D. Vance is a creation? I told you J.D. Vance is a creation of Peter Thiel. So what if they made Erika into what they wanted her to be? It's just all the small things. It's the little things that we need to pay attention to. It's just strange. You can see her here. That's her. That's the other Erika Kirk. Passed away 2023. That was the obituary. And so what I'm thinking is, and you guys know my mind goes there sometimes, right? What I'm thinking of is this. Sometimes there are roles for people, and sometimes people in powerful positions have designated roles in mind for people. Now, whether people choose to do that or not is a whole different story. But it almost seems like to me, somebody looked at Erika and said, hey, she would be perfect with Charlie Kirk, and they could be the future president and first lady of the United States. I really just see like two different people. And I wonder if that's what happened. If someone said, okay, this is what you were going to do now. Maybe it was family. Don't know. Maybe it was someone higher up. I don't know. What we do know is that her parents worked for defense in Israel and one worked for Homeland Security. So it's not like these were infantry soldiers. It's not like they were entry level soldiers. They were pretty high up. So what if this was all just a part of the plan? And Erika is told a number of lies about things that she didn't really need to lie about. I also see now when I hear that she's also sent a cease and desist to Candace Owens following the one she sent to Wolves and Finance. I also saw on Fox News when I was at the gym, and don't get mad at me. It's surrounded by TVs. But when I was at the gym, I also saw on Fox News that she is demanding a speedy trial for this Tyler Robinson situation, that she's demanding that it speeds up and gets over with now. Why? So people can stop looking into it? What's the rush? What is happening? So she has been moving in ways that make people suspicious of her. That's the problem. Also, people keep asking about the Amazing Race audition video. What happened to that guy? What happened to JT Massey? He was playing minor league baseball. Did he go pro? Did he not? I don't know. And think about how they align. It kind of makes sense. They both like nonprofit work. Both of them were athletes. Remember, she played basketball. He was minor league baseball. I don't know, guys. I just think it's really weird. And some people say, oh, that's minor. It's a small thing. It doesn't mean anything. But sometimes the small things do matter. And with the Erika situation, it just keeps getting stranger and stranger. And now she's on this tour trying to make heaven crowded. Bad title for a tour. And she's got a guy on the tour with her who is now being accused of sex abuse. What the hell is up? Not a good look. Not a good look. All right, ladies and gents, that is the end of the show. Oh, you want to bring up the poll? Okay, I almost forgot. Sorry. I almost forgot. I forgot to tell people to do the poll too. This is about the ice storm. Are you prepared for the ice storm this weekend? 47% said yes, of course. 28% said nope. And 25% said what ice storm? Oh dear. Well, I hope you know about the ice storm now. That is it for me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Quick update. Sunday is going to be kind of crazy. I think I'm going to try to go live at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday instead of 5 p.m. We do have big playoff games this Sunday, if that still happens, considering what's going on with the weather. So look for me to be live around noon on Sunday instead of 5 p.m. And for those of you who signed up, thank you. Just quick reminder, my mutual aid workshop is this Saturday at 11 a.m. If you signed up for my newsletter, you've already received the Zoom link for that. I will send out another reminder on Friday morning For those who also want to still sign up, that is via Zoom. It's virtual. It's 1 hour. If you're interested in doing mutual aid and you want to organize within your community, sign up and I'll see you then. Other than that, Eric's going to come in and close out the show. All right.
Well, all those people thought they're all prepared for the storm. So there you go.
Hey.
They think they're ready. We'll see. We'll see if it's a big one.
I hope so. I just feel that I just hope people are prepared, because it's one thing to lose power for a couple hours. It's another thing to lose it for a couple of days.
Well, the big ice storm here on Massachusetts, at least it was like it hit central Mass, was in December of 2008, I think it was. Is that the right date? Yeah. No, yeah, December 2008. I don't know. Were you in the area then? Were you living around?
No, I wasn't
that
here
was before
yet.
your time.
Mhm.
And that was crazy. Everything iced up, and it's like the icing hit just right, or maybe it hadn't happened for a while. But anyways, it brought down a bunch of power lines just in the area, and we lost power for days, like most of a week, and that had never happens here. So the ice will get you. So we'll see.
Yeah. That's the part I'm really concerned about, is the ice, The snow we can deal with, but
Well, I think it's going to be fine here, but watch out in the Carolinas, and there the ice, the weather ice is coming for you. Maybe it'll slow down the other ice, but
yeah, when we had icy days down there, which weren't many, we were just stuck inside when I lived there.
everything stops, right?
Yeah. Yep. I know. Wild stuff. All right, guys, I'll see you early on Sunday.
Did you want to hit the other story here about Gladys, or no?
You can do it. I do have hard stop, but
Okay.
you can do it. Yeah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
All right. We're going to let our Sabby move along for the night, and I'm going to do a little show closeout here. Yeah, we were just mentioning it here. Let me adjust the screen. Well, actually, let me bring this in. There we go. Yeah, we did read recently. There was what they described as a GPS pioneer and mathematician Gladys West. Just died recently. She was 95. Let me see if I can bring up the picture here. And sorry, I'm just trying to queue up the right spot here.
And GPS pioneer.
Yeah, let me find the picture. Yeah, so she was described as, a really pioneering mathematician, and her work was instrumental on GPS technology and mapping. She was also a great pioneer in terms of being one of very few Black people and Black women to get into this kind of role. So kudos and big shout out to Gladys, and yes, yeah. And I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. And yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention just in closing is that whether we're talking, I always like to try to connect the dots, and even like with this Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk story, there's the idea of what do we do about it, right? How could we really get to the bottom of what happened to Charlie Kirk, or what this story is with Erika Kirk and whatnot? And you really need a really good independent press would help, but even beyond that, you really need. I know it's hard to imagine our government doing this, but you really need your government working for you to do congressional hearings on it. That is supposed to be a big part of Congress's role, is to investigate things, to do hearings and get to the bottom of it. Our government has become so corrupt, right? And so operating not in our interest that we find it hard to even imagine our government operating in that role and really looking into something like what happened with this Charlie Kirk situation. But that's really what we need to be demanding, is that kind of a government. right? Because I mean, how else are we going to get there? That's what I kind of like to try to get at, is that when you connect all these dots, you have to get your government decorrupted. Right now, our government operates in the interests of the billionaires, the mega corporations, which are basically the same thing, that top 0.1%. We need to get organized and together as the 99% under clear demands, with that number one demand being, fix the big money, get the big money corruption out of there. You hit it with the MCDS framework, right? Which I can even bring up here. Here we go. So this is the 11demands.org website, which isn't hard to find. And you have MCDS, Money Corruption Demand Solutions. And so you have to deal with the money. You have to recognize that the money is the driver. And that's the M. You get to the C, the corruption, right? That's how Washington and our corrupt government operates. But then the real key is you have to do more than just identify it. You need to have clear demands. And, there needs to be a clear set, and it gets into all those things that we're looking for. But at the top has to be, fix the big money. And there are solutions for doing that. So that's the D and the S. Also, the other thing that made me think of it was, with what's happening in Gaza. All of that only is allowed to happen because our government is so thoroughly, implacably corrupt. If we had a government that was truly working for the 99%, Gaza wouldn't be playing out the way it has and the way it is. A big part of Gaza, just the war, or it's not even a war, but the Israeli actions themselves, is all of that is profitable to that military industrial complex. And of course, the whole Gaza operation itself is a land grab, as Sabrina's story earlier showed. And so, it becomes incumbent on us, the 99%, to have clear demands like ending the wars and support of all governments that engage in settler colonialism and genocide. So what I'm getting at, overall, is we need to have clear demands, and we need to get together as a 99% and work on getting organized behind those. It's going to need a big movement. We're going to need to have huge numbers of people, like literally getting in the streets over these things. But it starts with demands. And if you want to check out more about that, and we can all start brainstorming and thinking about, how we get from here to there. But, you can check out 11demands.org, and we're going to be talking about it more, on this show and elsewhere as 2026 goes on. All right. Meanwhile, here we got some chats built up here and there. Let me bring up this one on, I know there's one on Rumble. Let me see if I can bring up and start with that one, just to make sure that I don't forget it. So you can also do paid chats on Rumble. We call them Rumble rants, and we like to show that for our peeps on watching on Rumble too. We were also on Rockfin, but Rockfin seems to have basically ceased as a platform. At least you can't do chats on it anymore. Thanks. Wrong one. I'm just trying to find the right button here. That's the one. Thanks T-Bone316 for this Rumble rant. He says, awesome show as always, Sabby. Say what you will about the wannabe Black Panther guys. They still seemed hard AF. Not messing with them. All right. Thank you for that, Mr. T-Bone on Rumble. And let's see. We got a few super chats here in the queue from YouTube. Thanks for the super chat, Roger, Mr. Roger Meadows. We're talking about Scott Jennings on the previous story, saying it's because Scott was on that island. Yeah, Scott Jennings is a piece of work, and the system, needs characters like that to just to keep for narrative management, to try to keep pulling that Overton window into the middle. And something that they never talk about, of course, is the billionaires and the corrupt government. Like, of course, that just never seems to come up. And that's part of the narrative management game. And also, thanks, Roger, for saying this. Scott, us version of You've Never Been Guy. All right. And shout out to Tim, though, who's been on here. He's been around. I know Tim, a friend of the show. I've been around for a good while, a new member on YouTube. Shout out to that. Hi, Tim. And thanks for the super chat. Waffles Bacon 5. He says he's a Black Panther with Obama vibes. There you go. And thanks for this super chat. Joe Dirt, he says, the devil's starting to show the horns. We need prayer. Right. And thanks for this one. Shout out to Zone Fanfic. When you Google Yvette Carnell goes MAGA, it's literally the first picture that pops up. I can be debunked in real time if necessary. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that maybe on the Zoom call-in. I don't know if we're going to spend too much time on this show about Yvette Carnell, but appreciate your input. Yeah, and we'll probably get back to a Zoom call-in next week. And thanks for this one, Mizbon, who says, Charlie been in danger, girl. And wrapping up here, I think thanks for this one from Logically Dashing, who I know is David. And David says, this is giving a Nazi Brazilian clone lab vibes. Yeah, I know what you mean, David. Think of things like that in Westworld, this idea of creating these potential honeypot women, but also we don't want to get too much into the movies. I mean, the biggest thing, in my opinion, is just to always bring it back to brass tacks of what do we really need to do to fix this. And I would just say it needs to be a mass movement powered by clear demands with a strong focus on corruption. All right. That is about going to do us for today. Thanks, everyone, for watching, for your input. Like Sabrina said, the planned schedule is, I think we're going to come on early on Saturday, probably at around 12 noon Eastern time, and have a show for you before we get into the big game. And it's a big game around these parts, if not everywhere. So we'll see you then. And remember, always you can check out 11demands.org, and you can actually reach it now. It also works now if you put in the number 11demands.org, if you want to play with that. All right, I'm trying to find the right button here. And we're going to close it out with Sabrina always says, have a good night. Watch out for the ice storm. Shouldn't laugh. It probably will be for real for some people. And T-Bone says he likes the post show with Eric. All right, appreciate that, T-Bone. And we'll see you, thanks, and everyone next time. And keep up that fight. All right, see you all later.